Hey, folks, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Lotto. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Just ready for the 2022 One Nation Radio Awards coming to you on February 26th, 2023. So this is going to be a good night. I'm sipping on some wine since it is a festive, joyous occasion with, we're giving out awards tonight. So I figured, I'd, loosen up a little bit. I got a lot of funny stuff to say, and it is a weekend of awards apparently because, the day of awards dropped a couple days ago too.
Well, it's always like award season around this time because, you a Laker fan, you know what has to happen in LA around early February, like the second week of February,
the road trip
Center / the you're right, like the Grammys road trip that always happens. So when we would do this, we'd always all right, we know Meltzer's always dropping in the middle of February, so we need to do ours a week before and kind of put it there. So it's always the Grammys. And then at that point in time, you have the Oscars in February. You also have for wrestling the Observer Awards. So we always try to undercut Meltzer by a week, and then we kept slacking off. I never got my votes in for this, but it didn't matter because none of my votes would have changed anything except for maybe one thing. And then you had your trip and everything, and then we end up. It took a while for you to count all the votes. So you always count the votes by yourself.
This year, actually, I ended up shaving a little bit of time because I figured out something in Sheets to where all I had to do was get the right numbers in, and then I could have that shit added up for me. So cut down probably at least 45 minutes this year, which I was very pleased about. Okay.
So here we are. This time we're last, but it's gonna be fun. Especially after the aftermath of what always comes every time PWI 500 comes out. Anytime Women's 150 comes out. Anytime the Observer Award comes out, people get upset and bent out of shape about stuff they did not watch, so therefore it has to be somehow inferior or whatever else. And instead of just being
rigged, it has to be cheated, it has to be paid for.
As opposed to me and you, when we watched WWE and we saw some of these Observer Awards, when we first started listening to Observer, we were like, that's interesting. And then we watched Wrestle Kingdom 9, and then it's oh, okay, I get it. If you don't, I kind of find it's going to sound very pretentious. I don't care. It's fine. It's snobbish. I get it. I'm with you. It is. I don't care. I'm gonna stop at this point, right? And I don't take any pride in that, but there's a lot of wrestling out there, a lot of quality wrestling out there, and if you're only watching one or two things, you're not watching all of it. And even if you try to watch all of it, you couldn't. There's too much stuff in the day for anyone to watch. But if you can get enough recommendations from people that watch stuff that you don't watch, it can lead you towards seeing some really cool stuff around the world every single year.
Yep.
And that's the path that me and you chose. But when I see people that we talk to that were in the same I don't say bubble, but in the WWE only kind of section that we were, they might see stuff and absolutely agree that hey, this is, some of the best stuff I've ever seen. But then all right, do you want to follow up on any of that? No, not really. I want to kind of stay in the rivers and lakes that I'm used to. And I'm that's one way to handle it. But I just feel there's so much great stuff out there that I want to see. I want to see as much of it as I can. That's why I took my ass to Japan.
I had you may have seen the text message. I was a lot of the the people that were said were primarily a lot of the WWE only fans and stuff like that.
A lot of that, yeah.
And my thing is all right, if you look at the way, let's say for example, AEW is judged. This used to be New Japan, right? And it would be because AEW is getting a lot of the criticisms that New Japan got, and it was a test run for all the the no stories stuff, the women stuff. Everything happened to New Japan a couple years before AEW was established, and then it fully crested now, right? The level of scrutiny that AEW faces compared to WWE, who if WWE was good, they would dominate all these awards just off the visibility, the access, the people that are inclined to want to watch WWE first. It's the most accessible and it's the biggest promotion, right? And I'm well, since they are not good, I don't think we have to cap around it. I think it's a situation where their fans want everything. They want the they want the awards. They want them to have the most money. They want them to have all the wrestlers signed to them. They want just every piece of it as far as like, and they don't want the scrutiny or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, but to be fair, like, because they wrap themselves in the identity of the promotion, like, it's not necessarily so much them like making these complaints or criticisms on behalf of the E. It's on behalf of them because they identify as like this is them being rejected from a critical standpoint, and it's like
you want the commercial success, but you want to rule the underground too somehow,
right?
Like, it don't work like that.
And that's the same stuff we used to talk about with Drake, right? Or other rappers when they getting these complaints about stuff about like I didn't win a Grammy, and it's like, bro, the Grammys ain't nothing like, the Oscars when it comes to the obscurest of stuff and the most humanistic of stuff is going to win over something that's, had 150 million in the first weekend. Like that's not even the same thing. Like if you have just a great album that sold a shit ton of records, your ass is getting nominated in your category. That's the end of it. Like that doesn't happen in the Oscars. Like you're not going to have some movie that people absolutely love and say is a great movie and also be super successful if it's some sort of type of like blockbuster type of movie. It's never going to happen. And people understand that for certain awards, right? And I've been conditioned because of the precedent, right, that's set into it. But when it comes to these wrestling awards, people lose their minds that like WWE is not going to win like the Observer stuff if they don't have a great year. And it's like, that's never been the case. Like, and another thing that people also have short mindset on is like, people will say there's some super anti-WWE bias when it comes to these awards. And it's like, oh, Vince McMahon or Triple H definitely weren't going to win Booker of the Year. Oh, you mean 4-time winner Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
Including
back-to-back winner. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, like, and then, I was like, I didn't mention this when we were talking to one of the people that brought this up. It was like, Triple H already won Booker of the Year for Observer Awards before.
I think he won. Yeah, I was going to say, I was like 2016 or 15, something like that. And he interrupted a Gato, like, year.
Yes. So, but, like, they don't know. They just know what happened this year. They don't know about the history. And it's like, I can see why that happens, but it's like, it happens every single year. How many times will we have to kind of tell you these same things, right? And it gets annoying.
And it's not that they don't, like, it's like, it's not that they don't learn, it's they don't want to learn. Like,
yeah. Because it's like, it's not actually, well, it's two parts. It's them being able to dismiss whatever, is happening outside of whatever they're watching. And two, it's also like their chance to be, it's really weird to be like counterculture to like critical wrestling, like high level critical wrestling, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And all, like, I don't think all awards are for everybody. Like, everybody's not supposed to win every award. Like, right. The thing I love seeing was when people were like, yo, this is a small niche thing. This doesn't represent all wrestling fans. I'm like, I don't want it to represent all wrestling fans, or else it just turns into Squared Circle Reddit. Like, right. It's like, I want the people that are like, these are the hardcore wrestling fans. This belongs to us. Like this is what we say, right?
I get where you're coming from. That for me is like, look, if you're going to leave it up to find the best pro wrestling in the world, because this is an NBA where like of the top 450 basketball players in the world, at least 350 of them are all collected together. This is a performance sport, right? I don't want to say performance art, whatever you want to call it. Like, this is people fake fighting and putting artistic expression on it. And it's like, this isn't about like the best athletes doing this. It could be, but it's not, right? So from that perspective, that means that a lot of people that should be able to do this from all around the world, all walks of life. So, like, there's so much of it, you can't see all of it. So, like, I'm going to rely on a bunch of people that are watching shit that I don't watch and also watch things that I watch to say, like, these things are really well done in these particular aspects. And if it's something that I missed, then, like, I'll see a name and I might want to check it out. Like, if you had told me, I don't know if she made the list this year, for most charismatic, right? Maki Ito made it last year. I don't know if she made it this year. But unless she was ever in AEW, she never makes that list. But I was telling you before AEW even started, like, or maybe before she ever got AEW, like, bro, she's one of the most charismatic wrestlers in the world. And then lo and behold, people saw her and they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty easy. Like that, and that's not necessarily a me thing. It's like there are tons of things out there that you are unaware of, right? Like you don't know what you don't know. Right. And people like, do the whole, how could it possibly be? And it's like, well, I mean, if you're relying on the creator of, or if you're relying on the 70-something-year-old white guy to show you all the cool things that are out there in this medium, you're just wrong.
Like, and that's it. That's all you do. Like, and
yeah. And I'm saying anything. It'd be the same thing if I was like, if Rossi Ogawa was the only person that can tell you how women's wrestling works, or Gato and Jado are the only people that tell you how like men's Japanese wrestling works. Like that'd be wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's a case of where they, I don't know how to say it. It's like I lost my train of thought, but I think yeah, let's just move on. but yeah,
I mean, a lot of copium, a lot of
people just not understanding. And
how could it be that Tony Khan won Booker of the Year? And I was like, I could tell you because
let's see,
because Triple H didn't get the book until July 22nd. You fucking morons. He wasn't even like, name me whatever sport MVP you watch where someone wins the MVP by playing like 44% of the season. Tell me the year.
The only thing I can think of is
a baseball pitcher, maybe.
Bill Walton in like 1977 played like 50 games, right? And that was because
half the season.
Look, it was 50 games, and it was like a horrible year for the rest of the NBA for whatever reason, right? And the Blazers were like 50-12 at that time or some shit, something like that. They had an absurd record or some shit like that.
But that's not.
Excuse me, 1978 season. Sorry.
Yeah. You have to win a title. Yeah. So, like, I'm just thinking of it, and I'm just like, okay, so, all right, have that. You have that.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say now.
Okay, go ahead.
Like this is the reason why it was so imperative, I think, to keep sites like Cage Match pure, because these are the mediums that we use to track this stuff. So when people start fucking that voting up, and it just like gets real muddy as far as like when we're the people that care about determining the best of this shit, which I would count us among those people, like. Mm-hmm. And why in good faith, and like, in counting star ratings and looking stuff like that, because we actually kind of want to document what we feel the best of this shit is, where it's not just like where we're taking everything into account. Like we're looking at all the fucking promotions we can, and it's like, and even then we're still never gonna see everything.
Right.
So it's like, I think they just want it all. Like.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the last like I think I've seen like 2 Rev Pro shows in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm not pretending. Like I know where my holes are as far as that's a clip. I know where my holes are. Like I know where my glaring holes are for criticism and being able to critique or judge whatever is happening, whatever region. Like, and I just think that people are like, I don't care. Like we don't watch much Mexican wrestling.
Right, and that's like. That like I hate that I
it's
don't.
on fucking YouTube for free every single Friday.
Right.
I'm subscribed to it. I see it every single time, like every Friday. Like all the stuff. I think it's Lucha Mexico. I see CMLL stuff. I just scroll right by it and move on to the next thing. Like the Battle in the Valley show was like the first time I seen Volador Jr. in like 2 years.
Like, looks quite different, don't he? Like
yeah. Yes, he does. So yeah, I just don't. I see the discourse, and then like it's like, are you? You kind of get weary of it because you see it year after year after year, and it's like, I understand why you're missing this stuff, but like I still like, I'm tired. It's like the same thing when like like having to hold the hand of a white person to try to get them to understand race, and like, bro, I'm getting weary. I'm tired of having to hold people's hands, explain to them this shit. Like I'm done. Like, I'm just exhausted, and I don't want to go through it. And, like, at this point, I'm ready just to, like, just dunk on somebody. Like, I just am. Like, that's why I sent out that tweet about, like, hey, man, if y'all want the MTV Video Music Awards of Pro Wrestling, like, cool. Something like that should exist. I think that'd be cool. But, like, y'all, I'm don't the whole hand holding shit. Like, look, man, if you think that like I don't know what was the best Roman Reigns match last year.
Probably say maybe maybe him
yeah.
and Drew McIntyre, maybe.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like if you think Clash of the Castle was like a match of your contender, like I'm sorry, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm like, okay, it was great, or it was really good, maybe even great, depending on it. But like, I'm not going no further than that with you. Like, I'm sorry. Give me Star like Hinazumi. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me like one of them Ospreay Okadas. Give me any of the like Aussie Open and Ospreay stuff from AEW. But yeah, like I guess it's time to get into it. Where do you want to start, man?
Yeah, man. So
A awards. We don't have A awards.
Yeah, we don't have A awards. We just do it. I'm pulling up my ballot just so I can reference what I voted for. Okay. Here, I got that pulled up. So here are the 2022 One Nation Radio Awards. So we're going to begin with the Shawn Michaels In-Ring Performer of the Year. This goes for the best in-ring performer, Strictly Stars, and our nominees. I'll just go through our nominees and I'll go through the top three vote getters. So we had Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Shingo Takagi, Shuri, and Saya Kamatani rounding it out. So we will begin with our third place finisher with 47 points, Shuri. Number 2 with 167 points, Jon Moxley. And number 1 with a whopping 275 points, including 231 first place points, Will Ospreay, the assassin. And man, this guy, Will Ospreay, he may have succeeded 2019, and you know how much we hold 2019 in high reverence. This guy, incredible G1, incredible voyages to America. He does his UK work as normal, and he just rolls out of bed, and he's just phenomenal. G1 finals, Wrestle Kingdom, any big event, Forbidden Door, he was having the match of the night, and it wasn't particularly close. Like, this guy was stepping right into his prime. He missed some time last year or the year before that with some injury, bad luck. And I can't, getting a whole year of this guy back was awesome, because like I miss that dude, like, doing what he does best. And I loved his stuff with Okada. I loved his match with Orange Cassidy. The times he would just roll up and he would have what some people who thought they were Wrestler of the Year candidates, he would have like his 10th or 15th best match of the year for their best match. But when it comes to like being the guy in the ring, it's Will. He tied the Masawa record this past year. I don't know if it was in 2022 or if it was with the Kenny match at Wrestle Kingdom, but he's a fucking like he's an alien. Like,
yeah.
A star, like the man calls himself the assassin. That man's a star rating assassin, star rating system assassin.
Yeah, it's he's one of the most automatic wrestlers I've ever seen. Like, for me, it's really like three guys. It's I mean, in this modern era, right? Like, I'm not going through all of the Noah stuff to just catch Kobashi. You have to tell me, and like when you told me, I linked towards you saying, yeah, he's that kind of automatic. But like for me, like Ospreay, Okada, Omega, like those are the three most automatic. Yeah, that's about the
the 3 O's, nigga.
Yeah. Like those are the three that are the most automatic wrestler I think I've ever seen in a main event big spot. Like, if you want to throw Ishii with there, I guess sure, but like he it's not the same kind of stakes. But yeah, like this year, like I mean, I mentioned it a little earlier. I don't know if you were recording at that point in time, but talking about the Rev Pro thing. Like, I watched 2 Rev Pro shows in the last 2 years. Guess who's on both of them cards?
William.
Right.
Big Bill, the original Big Bill.
Big Bill. Yeah, so Yeah, he's just phenomenal, and he had another phenomenal year. And like, which year do you think is the more impressive year?
Man,
2019 Ospreay or this year's?
so I think like the thing that's interesting about it is because you can say both years have their own variants. Like for example,
Right.
2019 he's doing the juniors and he's doing the heavyweight shit in New Japan. Now this time, and also he was doing the Indie Globetrot and everything. He just drops in national television this time. In addition to all the great New Japan stuff, in addition to the indie hopping that he's doing, going everywhere. From GCW to Rev Pro. You know what? Man, this time he got a Wrestle Kingdom main event that he did it in, G1 final. It feels like he was like more towards like I don't know if people were ready to accept him as like the best wrestler in the world in 2019. And this was just like, with him being a true like top guy at this point, because I don't think he was necessarily that in 2019. He was just like
2019 would be like his breakout year, really.
Yeah.
As far as like, oh, he actually could be a top guy.
Yeah, and that had at that time was the greatest year anybody ever had at that point. So I'm torn between them both because he's got the G1 finals, or he's got the Super Junior finals that year.
Yeah.
He's got both the best of Super Juniors and the G1 runs and matches with Okada that year. I think he did that year. I'm not, I'm trying to remember here, but
I think they were in the same block. Yeah.
Okay.
In 19.
And it was just like,
yeah, they were both in A block.
Yeah.
Because remember, that's Dallas.
Okay. And man, I don't know. That's the beauty of this thing. I think I'm gonna go with this year. It's just okay. Like registers more recently here, and he's doing it in the heavyweight like stuff primarily, so that tends to carry a little bit more weight. No pun intended, but I figure we talk about the second place guy, Jon Moxley, as well. I've throughout his career, I've never looked at him as someone like, this is gonna be some like Star System assassin, or this is a guy that's like, is breaking the scales, having the match of the year type stuff. Like for me, he's just always like, just a really solid, consistent performer, like always in that 4.25 range, like, just everywhere. But I think he did a lot of like cool stuff this year too. Like from that match with Wheeler Yuta, that was like, I called it like, that shit was just incredible. And then
that was
like
the best kick out I saw all the last year.
Like the fact he did it like with the world title, he had a lot of step up matches, a lot of just carrying the promotion, and just great matches like week after week. That were like the stuff with Jericho, like the stuff like when he was going through the middle period of the summer, his matches with Danielson, and it was just like, he was motivated in a way that I think AEW is very fortunate that he showed up that motivated.
Especially with all the shit with CM Punk and the Elite that went down. Like, I mean, given the year that Jericho had, they could have put it on. They could have relied on Jericho, but they were like, let's go with Moxley, and like he had a hell of a year, and like I think I forgot what week it was, but it was in the summer, and I was like, look, don't fucking kid yourselves. That dude's the wrestler of the year. As far as like from an MVP perspective, and what he was up against and what the promotion was up against on TV, with like that kind of responsibility, having that level of star power off TV, like without injury. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like real special shit. And like,
and he won the Flair Thez as well.
Yes. 2 and 3 years. Like that is a Observer Hall of Famer. That's an Observer Hall of Famer. It's gonna be interesting to see the percentages look like come next. It's
gonna start looking real stupid if people don't vote him in
September, around September, something like that.
Like he joins a list of people that have won, that are like that are 2-time winners, and the list is like easy like class of like people like Kenta Kobashi, Chris Jericho, Mr. Misawa, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kenny Omega. Like, these are all the people that are on the 2-time list.
Has Okada even won it twice?
I don't think Okada's even won it twice.
Right.
And it's like a list of like 8 guys. Ric Flair, shit like that. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he's on that list. So it's gonna be he's the only one that's multiple times he's not in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, I don't know if he will go in immediately next year, just based on how the voting games are played. Yeah. But he's essentially he's ensured his eventual induction, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, you mentioned a lot of stuff. Like, you forgot the match that he had with Ospreay, like was Capital Riot.
Yep. Yeah. Or Capital Collision, or
Capital Collision. That's right. Yeah. Windy City Riot is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mixed them.
Yo, it was Windy City Riot. He also was at Capital Collision in a 4-way with him.
Okay, so I was right, but still wrong because I mixed the names up or whatever. Right. The only thing I'll bet on is that, like, you know, there were technical difficulties for that American pay-per-view from New Japan. That's the only thing that was correct.
Third place.
Yeah, man, so,
third place was Shuri. So Shuri like just beats out Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada for that third place, and this voting actually lined up with exactly how I voted. I voted Ospreay, Moxley, Shuri as well. And you know, what else can you say about Shuri's year that we haven't, like, we've documented Shuri's year in great detail this past year, whether it was like deathmatch stuff, big match stuff, or like whatever you need out of her at the top of the card. Like, she was there. Great, the best red belt title reign ever. I think that says enough.
Yeah. And there's also stuff that, like, I don't think you even saw, like, you know, her the match like on the Hannah Memorial with Asuka Vinny. Like, she was just amazing. And you know, like, much like you said, like, she's not a champion anymore, but like, don't take your foot off the gas on, you know, keeping her at a certain level, because, like, you know, and apparently they're not, because, you know, they're heading towards Yokohama Arena and she's set for her and Shihiro Hashimoto. That's gonna be great. And I'm just like, it's such a great year. Just such a great year. So what's next?
So up next, we got the WWE Women's Wrestler of the Year. So our nominees, we have 6 nominees here, is Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Roxanne Perez, Liv Morgan, Bayley, and then the tag team of Io Sky and Dakota Kai. So, yeah. This was a very one-sided category, so let's get into the voting here. In third place with 62 points, we have Roxanne Perez. Second place with 105 points, including 0 first-place points, Becky Lynch.
Yep.
And number 1 with 245 points, with 231 first-place points, Bianca Belair.
Okay, did anybody get first place votes besides her?
Yes, and this is so we gave 3 people that voted for Roxanne Perez. We got 2 people that voted for Liv Morgan, and I don't know why. And I really should go through the voting and find out.
I would like to know how somebody, are these troll votes, or is there somebody that's like a Liv fan that, like, is unaware of our work that is saying I want to vote in their awards, because that'd be hilarious. I want to know that person. I'd like to meet that person. I like to talk to that person. That's funny. It's like, if you like it, honestly, like, yeah, I'll vote for her, and like, but I don't know what One Nation Radio like does or whatever else. That's fucking hilarious to me.
Because I'm sure there are people that have voted in these awards that just saw it get retweeted by our listeners. That's stuff like that.
That's how we ended up with 2019 Stardom Wrestler of the Year, B. Priestley. That's exactly how that happened. They don't watch no damn Stardom. They just vote. Oh, I don't know their names. Oh, that's the one that was in AEW. They gave Brittany concussion. Vote her in. Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
And then we got 3 votes for the tag team of Dakota Kai and Io Sky. So, man, they were just, I don't know what those people were doing, but this is so clearly Bianca Belair's award.
I mean, even if you wasted a first place vote on anybody other than not wasted, if you wasted a vote and didn't give it to Bianca, I just have to assume you just have anti-black resentment, and that's what it is. And that also makes me wonder and question, why the fuck are you voting in the One Nation Radio Awards, a podcast that is hosted by 2 black men? What are you doing? What is happening here? What? I'm confused.
This is so clearly Bianca Belair, and it shouldn't have been close. It should have been even a wider range. she enjoyed 2 third place votes, James. There were 2 people that decided to vote her third place. I think that's funnier than voting someone else first. She got 12 points, so that's 6 people that decided to vote her second on this thing. So
if you gonna hate all the way, either vote her first or don't vote for her at all. What are you doing?
Don't come out here and try to hate on the low. Like, that's the worst. That's the worst thing you do. Cause like if I go through these ballots, right, and I see Liv Morgan first, and then I see Bianca actually voted for, like, it's like, no, you got to leave her all the way off. Like, so you
come with excuse like, hey, I just missed her on the ballot. My bad. My bad, bro.
You at least got plausible deniability. If you do anything else, no. Like I should put your email on the timeline. I should do that.
Don't do that.
But I'm not going to do it.
Don't do that.
But this is an offense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When we were to come up with nominees for this, we were like, look, it's gonna be Bianca and Becky in a landslide at 1 and 2, and then like
it was
whoever gets in where they fit in gets the third space. Especially no Charlotte, no Charlotte. Bailey comes in late, and also no
Mandy.
Charlotte for most of the year. Yeah, what you say?
No Mandy Rose.
No Mandy Rose. Asuka had a long hiatus as well. Like, this was a really down year for injuries from people that were perennially at the top of AEW's women's divisions.
Right. Yeah. So up next, now this award is the WWE NXT Wrestler of the Year category here. So, man, I made some bold predictions when we ran this category down, and I'm like shocked that that exactly what I said would happen in my personal case. Turns out the voters stood with me on this, and man, I got some questions to ask. So
well, wait, do you have questions that you want answers to, or you just got questions and then
I have questions. I have questions to throw in the air and then stare and then be like, somebody's lying here. So let's go through our nominees. Up first, we got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, The Usos, Gunther, Sheamus, Bianca Belair, Braun Breaker, and Carmelo Hayes. First, before I get to the winners, I feel like I now, in retrospect, should have nominated Sami Zayn. But we did not. So let's go through this voting here. In third place, with 87 points, fella Sheamus. So shouts out to Sheamus, third place.
That has to be the highest he's ever placed in any O&R award.
Man,
has to be.
Shout out to Sheamus. Like, Sheamus he's come all the way around full circle for me. I always started liking Sheamus, then I disliked Sheamus a great deal, and then I liked him all over again. So
yeah, same here. I think it basically started where we were kind of like, it went from a point where it's like, okay, it's WWE. If you want to wrestle that style, you got to go somewhere else wrestling like that. You knock people's teeth out when they're stationary targets. And then, the bar did a world of good for him. And then from there, he was kind of just floating around. But, Rich's feed just went down while I'm looking
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be back in just a second. I tripped something up. It should pop right back up. There we go.
Okay.
I was trying to plug my cell phone in and unplug something by accident, and now I have a yellow square in front of my face.
Yeah.
All right.
It was like they out here trying to capture your identity.
Feds. On my own system.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's how it happens. But yeah, like, I think, Sheamus is actually absolutely came full circle with his career. And like, he stuck around and kept trying hard, and we are here where we are, and it's like the game just came to him. And he had a really great year. Lots of fun matches. Like, one of the most fun wrestlers on the main roster, watching for pay-per-view.
Number 2, with 90 points, just 3 points over Sheamus, Bianca Belair. So Bianca puts a second place finish in Wrestler of the Year here. With her Women's Wrestler of the Year trophy. So shouts out to Bianca. Love Bianca Belair. If you don't, you're a square. So number one with 180 180 points, including 135 of the first place variety. A man who believes the ring is sacred. Gunther wins your WWE Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah.
Bravo, voters. Thank you for doing y'all jabs.
Now,
what we care about on this show is wrestling.
Yeah, and so does Walter. I'm sorry, Gunther. But yeah, where did Roman finish exactly?
Roman Reigns finished fourth, which means
how close was he getting to placing?
He was 20 points behind Sheamus.
Okay. So obviously, it's a lot of things. If you're someone that is going to come across the One Nation Radio Awards, you are probably someone that is interested in a lot of via the world via the form of in-ring action first, storyline driven stuff after. So I can see how that is working against Roman, seeing that by his own standards, he had a down year in the ring pay-per-view match. Like last year, like the first half of last year, smokes what he did. The first half of 2021 smokes what he did in 2022. 2016 year smokes what he did in 2022. So even by his own standards, ring to ring in pay-per-view, it was a down year for him. So I can see how this happened. Now
you get the part-timer stuff. You get the part-timer stuff to add in with it. You get some of the
a lot of frustrating finishes.
A lot of frustrating finishes, bad finishes, lots of run-ins, and I think the Gunther stuff just resonated more, and
yeah,
it's just like it's man,
fake fighting, and it feels like a fight when you watch him. Yeah, that's gonna resonate.
I can't say I'm shocked really from this. I just have some questions, man. It's just like, everybody told me how great this was, James. Everybody told me this is what the business is now. This is what it needs to be. This is where, these people, the yelling the story during the match is the template now.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I saw it, I'm with you. Empty arena, no one around. You were trying something new with the character. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. Then we kept seeing it. Mm-hmm. Then we kept seeing it some more. Mm-hmm. And then we kept seeing it more than that.
Right. And now we're seeing it now with lesser opponents than Cesaro and Danielson. Yeah. And a year older Kevin Owens. Yeah.
I voted in this, and my ballot said Gunther. I voted Roman Reigns second out of respect for what a lot of my friends were telling me. And then Bianca Belair.
That's what I would have voted if I actually had got my votes in time, yeah.
So
same identical top three you had.
So by seeing this, I'm like, man, y'all respect Roman Reigns even less than me.
And to be fair, the stuff that I have seen of the Sami Zayn era of the Bloodline stuff, I actually have enjoyed what I've seen, right? I don't think there's actually a real genuinely satisfying payoff they have in mind, and I'm just waiting for whenever they actually do pull the trigger to see how people were like, oh God. But what they're doing from week to week that I get to see, or whatever, from every other week or whatever else, I have seen and I have enjoyed, and I have seen the crowd be absolutely they're captivated in the audience when they did the trial of Sami Zayn and all that kind of stuff. That's legit. But this stuff has permeated so far past what traditional pro wrestling is. Like, it is so far into the soap opera stuff that not even soap operas do this kind of stuff. And like, I know this because like I'm someone that grew up having to watch soap operas while my grandma was watching me while my mom was at work. So I know what soap operas is. Like, when people, like, when I hear Brian Alvarez complain about like why, like, when they go to cut to another scene, they keep the camera on, lingering on like somebody's face for like 5 seconds. Like, where they get that from? Like, soap operas from like when they play the droopy music as someone cuts off to go to commercial, except like they do it 2 to 3 times longer. Like, I know that because like, I know what soap operas are. So yeah, like, I get it, but like, it's too far. Like, the characters are too dumb. They're too stupid. Like, Roman is the only person that's not an idiot. And like, it after a certain amount of time, you're just like, these people are just stupid forever. Okay, I can't. I just can't.
Meanwhile,
but people love it.
Meanwhile,
so,
Gunther,
it is what it is.
Has probably had the best Intercontinental Championship reign in fucking 8 eons.
What would it be like? Maybe I have to look back at Seth's 2018 when he got it after WrestleMania.
Yeah, like he's
that comes to mind.
Like, he's up there, like, about to get a launch pad here to probably get into the main event sometime this summer. He, like, regardless of what you think about the Gunther and Sheamus match, or some people think it's overrated, some people think it's match of the year, 5 stars. I believe got 5 from Dave, which you watched that stadium and it was just like, yo, this was special. I thought it was like, I didn't think it was 5 stars, but like, I thought it was a great match still.
I thought it was a high 4.5 star match, but like, when people say it's 5 stars, I kind of roll my eyes, but I do sort of get it because of like, atmosphere in wrestling matters.
That was a great atmosphere.
As much as I roll my eyes on that because I'm all about rewatch value, like, atmosphere matters, and like, that had it with that gigantic stadium. I quite frankly think when I watch it, like, I feel like the atmosphere like hurt the echoing of the violence in the match, where like I don't feel the chops like I would like if I was watching him and Dragunov. But whatever, like, it still was one of the best matches of the year. I just don't think it's one of the greatest matches of all time.
Right.
But like, it was still, I mean, it's, for me, like, it's easily the best WWE match I saw last year.
Yeah, like, he had a lot of he had like a great series with Sheamus, whether it was on SmackDown, whether it was on the pay-per-view. He had a good match with Rey Mysterio, matches against Ricochet that was really good.
That trios match
that they did. It was the good old-fashioned Donnybrook.
Right. That's what it's called, yeah.
So like, I 100% support this. So I think the voters got it right, and you know, Bianca coming in second, Sheamus coming in third. Sheamus benefits from the Gunther, and Bianca, you know, essentially carries her award and imports it here. Maybe like some of her reign has been like, I would say she's had a couple big matches like the Becky matches, and outside of that, it's been, I think the booking around her has failed her kind of. I don't really think. Like,
lack of depth in the division.
And I don't really think there's like, I don't think she has the investment like to really make her that interesting. Like, as far as like the lining up the correct opponents and everything like that. Like, they sent her out there on with Alexa Bliss at a big 4. So like, yeah, it just wasn't there.
Yeah,
but
I also hear, like, I listened to Jason Solomon, Monster, and he was talking about it, and he was thinking like she could be freshened up with a heel turn, and like her beating Asuka could be like the point. Everyone loves Asuka and respects Asuka, so like that could be the thing like that does it, where she flips. And WWE, no matter how great of a person you are, how likable you are, eventually they're just gonna want to turn your heel, and they feel the need to turn your heel because they find you be
Man, that's not a bad idea. 'Cause I would love to see it. I would love to see Bianca.
I mean, we saw the NXT. I mean, we've seen the NXT where like it only takes but this much to turn that kind of character heel. It only takes but this much, and like she was very effective in NXT when she was a heel.
Yeah. All right. So shouts out to Gunther, your 2022 One Nation Radio WWE Wrestler of the Year. Up next, your New Japan Wrestler of the Year. So our nominees: Tomohiro Ishii, Will Ospreay, Tetsuya Naito, Kazuchika Okada, Jay White, Shingo Takagi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Before we get started, Tanahashi scored a whopping 8 points. this feels like the end of an era.
Yeah. He's been completely phased down. He still, you ask him to do certain things, he still can come in and give have a bullet or two in the chamber. But as far as being the guy, even though like you look at you throw in a Google trend and you're still like, you sure he can't go get another quick run? But yeah, it's just that's what they chose with him, and that's the route they've gone with it. And like I remember in 2020, like when he got eliminated before the final night of the blocks, and I was like, I could not believe it. And like it's that's where it is now. Like he's just going. He's just in it, and he can be a U.S. champion or maybe even a King of Pro Wrestling or whatever else, or tag team champions. Like maybe him and Okada could be potentially later in the year. But that's he's been phased down. He's
the good old days
he's
are
that star. Like he's on the path towards what do they call the Yuji Nagata and Kojima? Yeah, the New Japan dads. He's on the path towards that.
So third place with 45 points gonna be Shingo Takagi. Despite being saddled with all that King of Pro Wrestling stuff, he turned it into something people were interested in. Second,
that should have got gimmick of the year.
Yeah,
Shingo like Takagi, the way he was turning chicken shit into chicken salad. Like, yeah.
The New Japan version of the FTW belt.
That's funny.
Kazuchika Okada, 128 points, comes in second. And number one, this is no shock, the person who won the Shawn Michaels Award, 242 points, 231 of the first place variety. It's a landslide for Will Ospreay.
Yeah. I think most people felt that all the factions in New Japan this year, that the most fun one to watch on an consistent basis was United Empire. It just like you throw Ospreay's year in. You saw what he did in the Grand Prix, the G1. Now I'm just intermixing both of them now.
Yep.
But like, yeah, you just fantastic. Wrestle Kingdom, fantastic. Naito semifinal match, fantastic. He's just a fantastic wrestler, and he had a fantastic year. And like where he had most of his greatest matches was in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. I don't really know what else there more is to say about him that we didn't say at the beginning, but Will was a guy, I would say, when Jay White would hold the belt for 6 months and all that, and they did this and he wasn't able to get in the country and everything, I'd be like, and this is something that, it extends further back. The fucking guy was always Will Ospreay. Like, and it's great that he was able to add another great year. Of course, that leads him to the match with Kenny, and it's like you just hope that he gets that final launch pad and he doesn't get the "oh, you're not Japanese" treatment at some point, because he's as good as anybody's ever been in that promotion. And he's great. Like, and I don't think there's much else to say. Kazuchika Okada, another year to throw on of excellence, comes in second.
Yeah. Where did he finish in Fifth as?
Second, I think, or excuse me,
Okada.
I'm not sure. I have to look it up.
All right, one of y'all in the comment section hit us with like where Okada finished in Flair Fest this year. I feel like it was top 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, great year, and I feel like as anybody that listened to the show during the G1, like as it's wrapping up, like I feel like we're on a path towards like a launch pad towards legendary status this year with him. Like, and it's so funny that like almost all of it has come to this seems to be coming to fruition. Like I will still want my goddamn Ospreay Pac All Atlantic matches, but there's still time for that.
So let's move on. We got our newcomer of the year. This is the first year in WWE, AEW, New Japan, or Stardom. So our nominees were Roosh, Konosuke Takeshita, Roxanne Perez, Mirai, Suzu Suzuki, and Aussie Open. So Coming in third with 69 points, Roosh. Coming in second with 117 points, Aussie Open. And number one with a whopping 254 points, 222 points in the first place variety, Konosuke Takeshita. This was not close. This guy was dropped literally like an alien onto the United States and the indie circuit and also in the AEW. And just like, I remember having a conversation with a couple friends of ours who had never seen him. I was like, he can walk into any main event scene right now and be a main eventer. Before he went on the run that he did this year, he proved me correct. Every time he stepped in the ring, it was over 4 stars for sure. And he was just somebody that just looked like the future. That with respect to everything he's already done in his career. This is a newcomer of the year, strictly in the technicality terms of the One Nation Radio Awards. This guy was ready made years ago. So
this is like when 2001 Ichiro Suzuki won Rookie of the Year. It's like, there ain't no fucking rookie. he was just one of the best baseball players in the world, except he was in a different league. That's it.
Yep.
He's a rookie. Like he is not rookie by definition at all, or he's only rookie by technical definition. When we go over like the times we were telling people, hey man, there's this dude that's coming in and he's phenomenal. Has anybody like over exceeded like our lofty like praise and hype for him than Takeshita? I think he's up.
He's up there because like some of our friends that are like hardcore WWE fans are like cheerleaders for this guy. Like, don't care that he loses all the time, right? It's just like he's fucking phenomenal. Like, and it was pretty good to see Takeshita not disappoint us like that. But I think he has such an important kind of role as far as like showing what AEW can do with Japanese wrestlers, and him being the first one to come in seems like there's a long-term kind of arc with him. So I kind of stressed the losses were kind of a means to an end at this point, but I think at this point, we're all ready to get behind this guy. And just every match that he had, 2 matches with Moxley. My favorite match that he had with Hangman Page was incredible. And it was just like, these are like 12-minute matches, 17-minute matches, and it's just like he's so big, runs the ropes, like he's like the perfect wrestler, like almost like for our time, because he's got he's got the fighting spirit, he's got the moves, he's got the rope running ability, he's got the selling, he's got the flair for the dramatic, he's got the strikes, he's got the toughness, the size, the everything, like
right like he and it's not like he's doing anything that like somebody that's like in his make and model of build, like he's not doing anything. Obviously, he's not the same size, but like he's not doing anything that like Drew McIntyre can't do. Not to say that Drew McIntyre is some slouch. Drew McIntyre, one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen at his weight.
Mm-hmm.
Within give or take 10 pounds up or down. But the dude is just he's it's an Okada like quality where it's like this dude ain't doing nothing particularly special or particularly. I guess other than neck drops or head drops. Like he's not doing anything like that you just can't replicate around the world. Like he's just wrestling really hard and very well, and he's obviously coordinated and strong and all that, and like
charismatic as fuck.
Yeah, like he can get you to believe in him like really easily, and in a way that's like his charisma is different from the rest. Like obviously it's AEW, everybody has their own version, their own way to move people. Like we got Orange Cassidy, we got Darby Allin, we got Takeshita, and yeah, man, just a great wrestler. And how old is he again?
27, I believe, maybe 28.
Yeah. Like if we could just keep his knees and neck on point, we got 15 more years of this.
Yes. Second place was Aussie Open. Of course, I believe keeping the strong style term them is possibly having the greatest world tag league ever. They had matches with FTR. They were doing trio stuff with Will Ospreay and AEW. And they just kind of exploded on the map. They've been around for a long time. And them being in New Japan kind of really like raised their profile. Of course, just this past week we saw them wrestle the Young Bucks on Rampage. They're going to be back on AEW next week. They were on Rampage last week in a Battle Royal. Between Kyle Fletcher, who I think has a long-term prospect of joining like one of the elite reigns of like the best wrestler in the world, like 3 to 5 years from now. He's only 24.
Right.
Davis is a little older, but as far as a tag team, I hope what either New Japan spotlights them heavy, AEW signs them to a contract, or wherever. But as far as where they're already working, like one of these companies need to go ahead and start pushing these guys.
Yeah. If and when FTR comes back to AEW, I want them to have another match. Like I wasn't as into that Royal Quest match that they had, but that's a lot of that is production and camera work and bad miking and everything. But let's see that at Forbidden Door or whatever else. I would like to see them. Like they're two of the best tag teams in the world. And much like Takeshita, to a couple people, I was like, hey man, I ain't gonna tell you this match is everything that's in it, but if you got a little bit of time, I can show you a highlight reel. Go throw on Ozzy Elvin versus Velocities, and watch one of the matches, just a highlight reel of it and see what we're talking about as far as these are a versatile group of guys. And they're one of the best tag teams in the world, and I can't wait for them to FTR and whoever else to mix it up if they get to AEW. And sure enough, them trios matches, I feel like the trio matches, I think next year or this summer, if they do a trios term, whatever else, and they're back, I feel like they could be over just from matches from a year ago in a long run. I really feel that for Ospreay especially, but also with Aussie Open.
Yeah, that's right. And then third place, Roosh. Roosh just came in and blew away all the preconceived notions that were attached to him. Had to win a lot of people over, and he just came out there and was like, "All right, I'm just gonna really bust my ass." And for matches with Moxley and a lot of just hard chopping, intense brawls, insane charisma that he's always had, and I think he's been one of the bright spots as far as imports for AEW.
Yes. One of those people that there's tons of guys in AEW. There's tons of guys that should be on TV. He's one of those guys that have been on TV and has earned the right to get more. Much in the same line as Swerve has. So I'm interested to see more Roosh. Interested to see where he gets in and fits in over time in AEW, continuing from the good work he's already done.
No doubt. So just missing, she was 9 points, or she was 11 points back. Suzu Suzuki placed fourth, and then Mirai, and then Roxanne Perez.
Yeah. I would have put Suzuki. I would have put Suzu on there. But whatever, it is what it is. But she was great in her role coming in and being a bit of the side quest for Julia this year before getting to the title, in her route to going through her, having to get through her to get to the Grand Prix victory. Just a great year, very impressive. She's 19 or 20. I think she's 20 now. Actually, she's a little bit older than Azumi. But people call her a prodigy. I ain't arguing with you. I'm not. I might not call that, but I ain't gonna argue with you. Given what she is able to give you, she's one of the. I think she even finished this year. She got a lot of votes for best brawling observer this year. Yeah. Just a great wrestler with just knows all the indie tricks already at 20.
So up next, we got the Dusty Rhodes Promo Cutter of the Year award. So our nominees are MJF, Jon Moxley, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, and Max Caster. So coming in third, 76 points, Eddie Kingston. Coming in second with 163 points, 102 of the first place variety, Jon Moxley. And first with 166 points, a 3-point victory, 120 first place points, MJF.
So I remember earlier in the year, when I think it was Nanai and Kyrie had a tag match, and I think they faced Lady C and Kamatani, and Nanai put away Lady C, and in the back, like there was a picture of like Kamatani consoling Lady C, and I remember you took a picture of it, or you took that picture and you put up like, "We shall overcome," like we will eventually overcome this and rise up from this, right? Like this is 3 years in a row, I believe, where Jon Moxley has finished second.
Indeed.
And he keeps inching closer and closer and closer. Jon Moxley will rise up in 2023. He's going to win this year, goddamn! I don't give a damn what it takes. I feel like, look, I didn't. Aside from the promo on his way to winning the title in the summer, I thought that I didn't think he really had anything that stood out as far as like he has to win. Like MJF makes sense to me. Moxley makes sense. I have less of a gripe for this than the prior years. So yeah, but yeah, MJF, perfect choice. But I just like, damn, man, this dude keeps doing this incredible like stuff, and he still can't win. I thought he had the best promo I heard all year last year, and he still can't win.
Yeah, this one was, I think it was going to be MJF. So I was shocked Moxley got this close. To tell you the truth, like between like just the attention that MJF captured, like with whether the work shoot stuff, the stuff with CM Punk, that, a lot of his promos in the first half of the year were a lot better for me than some of his second half of the year stuff after he won the championship, which ranged from compelling to very low quality, I would say, but I just think the way that he kind of became this force of nature with that work shoot promo, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it turned him into like this supernova essentially, and that was fresh off the stuff he did with Wardlow. Before that, fresh off the CM Punk stuff. I think he was just like, up until that LA thing, he was just his model of consistency where it was just fucking excellent. And then after that, he took the summer off, and then it was mixed results going back and forth, but he just exhibited such crowd control, and it was just like, I just thought he was the best on the stick. I voted him first, then I voted Moxley, and then I voted for CM Punk third.
Yeah, how far off did CM Punk get from placing anyway?
CM Punk was 2 points behind Eddie Kingston, and he was fourth.
And that speaks to how like incredible Punk was while he was still there, and also with the injury and everything. That like, if just imagine if like Punk had came back, didn't have the foot thing, didn't cut that stupid fucking press conference thing, and like you get the MJF takes the title off CM Punk, like build up to that, like he would have been on this thing easily. He may have fucking won it. So yeah, unfortunate,
sad. Like
all things involved in the CM Punk thing,
sad. Just depressing. I voted for the dude anyway at that point, but it's like, yo, there was just so much that
I think he had a stronger year still at the top end than Kingston, because Kingston got he got a kind of like left focus in the middle of the year. Yeah, like after the Jericho thing, he lost focus.
Yeah.
Or they lost focus on him is a better way to say that. Sorry.
Like, there's a lot of things you can bang on CM Punk for. I don't think his promos are one of them. So,
no, it ain't.
So Roman Reigns with 4 points on this. Last place by a mile on this. Yeah. Okay.
Rich. I forgot. Since we also are talking about like we're also talking about also Observer stuff. Again, I see MJF finished first in this one in the Observer. Moxie finished second. CM Punk finished third. Sami Zayn finished fourth. Eddie Kingston finished fifth. I'm just gonna Roman Reigns finished ninth, right? So let's move on to honorable mention, right? So nowhere on here do I see Edge for honorable mention or the top 10. But you know who made honorable mention for the second year in a row that doesn't speak fucking English? Tam Nakano again is finished honorable mention for best on interviews. But I was gonna hear about Edge and his promos. You gonna get the fuck out my face, man. You are a tag wrestler now, man. No disrespect. You try really hard. You have some cool things. Your bodies can't hold up. You lay on the floor. You're a tag wrestler now. It is what it is.
So
bring
up
Beth
next.
back, bring Christian back, whoever else, but you got to tag now.
Oh man.
You know, you heard about the WrestleMania plans for him?
Isn't he supposed to fight Finn Balor in like a Hell in a Cell match or some shit?
Yeah, some more laying around.
Man, it's gonna be a lot of this. You know? A lot of, laying on the ground.
Look, bro.
That old Gilly the Kid, get down on the ground.
Look, man, you finna see a lot of grit in that cell, bitch.
Grit, trying to get to your own damn feet.
laying on the ground like a common whore. Grit, get up and fight, bitch. Damn.
I didn't know we were doing the hand side swipes. Oh my god.
Look, man, he got it last year. Keep with the tradition. Tam made it. He didn't. Again.
Oh my god. Up next, we have the AEW Wrestler of the Year. Our nominees: Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, MJF, Hangman Page, FTR, and Death Triangle. So coming in third place with 78 points, the Cowboy, Hangman Page. In second place, a man with 94 points that you could not count out under any circumstances, that I came on this shit 1 year ago in February and cut a legendary video promo that had more than 8,000 views on Twitter. Just constantly sent it out through the year. They thought it was done. They thought it was finished. Chris Jericho. Shout out to Chris Jericho. But number one with 257 points, 243 points. The most dominant first place voting in this entire awards, I believe.
Wow.
Jon Moxley.
Yeah. Look, I thought he had, Wrestler of the Year worldwide, from an MVP perspective, locked up by the summer. So obviously this is just a promotional award. So yeah, that's what I thought of him. I would have voted probably Jericho second and the Elite's on there, right?
No, I didn't vote. I didn't nominate the Elite.
Okay. I had to think about what else would be third, but yeah,
I voted Jericho, or excuse me, Moxley, Jericho, then Hangman, just like it came out.
Yeah, Hangman's like, if the Elite's not on there because what they had in that closing stretch, then sure, yeah, I would have gone with Hangman. And Hangman, I think this hurts him as far as like the race of the whole thing of like the it happened so early, but like the first third of the year, he was incredible.
Like I don't know if people remember that or anything like that, but like every time it was time for a big match, it was like I think it was lights out, and
right.
And he was just like, for me, like what I was looking for, what they gave him, like he just. Like, he's my favorite babyface of wrestling right now. And I think he's just, he dealt with, like, a lot of, like, kind of shit throughout the year. Like, a lot of personal stuff out the ring that affected his use in the ring. And, we don't know these dudes or anything like that. But it was just like, from afar, it just looked like he was getting his legs cut out from underneath him. And he was just wrestling above, like, all right, you ain't going to let me, talk on this show. You ain't going to let me do whatever. I'm just going to prove it every time I get in the ring. And he was a prove-it-ass motherfucker in 2022.
Yeah.
CM Punk finished in last with 20 points. There was nothing else really close. Everything, like the top three vote getters were all around the top, and everybody else kind of circled to drain. Okay. So from there, we got the AEW Women's Wrestler of the Year. We got 6 nominees. We got Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, Jade Cargill, and Hikaru Shida. So
you have to remind me, when was the Jamie Hikaru Shida match?
Jamie and Hikaru Shida was the end of 2022, like the
okay. So that's
in Denver, I believe, right for the buzzer.
Okay. Yeah. So let's give it to us.
Yeah.
Let's three.
So third place with 88 points, Hikaru Shida. And
That's basically like she got off one match.
no, because remember earlier in the year she had the series with
Deeb.
Serena Deeb, and then she did miss a lot of time, but that series with Deeb was pretty strong.
It was.
And then the title challenge at the end. Second is with 150 points, Toni Storm. People really liked her reign in the fallout of Thunder Rosa losing the title, her winning it. She's kind of being this every week presence. But number one with 249 points, 183 first place points, Jamie Hayter. So everyone's a hater here. This is well deserved, I think. She, just steadily built momentum throughout the year, and from there, they crested it with the championship win, I think, at the right time. And she's just like kind of went on to have great matches against. It was like Emi Sakura, Hikaru Shida, and the match she won the belt in against Toni Storm.
The Riho match. Don't forget that Riho match early in the year.
Early in the year,
yeah.
Early in the year, and it was like she just has something. People are into her, and she's our AEW Women's Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah. She's who I would have voted for.
And arguably, she's the best woman in North America.
Okay, so what do we do with Mercedes now that like she's in New Japan, but she wrestled in California? Is that you say she's Japanese wrestler now? Like
I mean,
Japanese region for
I mean, in 2022, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
That's Jamie. I think that's Jamie Hayter all day.
Yeah, it'd either be her or Emi Sakura. Yeah, given what Sakura was doing on Dark. Yeah, it'd be those two.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Toni Storm comes in second. Interestingly enough, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, and Jade Cargill all finished with 24 points. So people
That's an interesting tie.
Yeah. A lot of like the Jade universe where she does her own thing, like way the fuck over there, and then like Britt and Thunder Rosa, who are just like kind of linked at the hip here. Britt was a champion coming into this year, ended up dropping the belt kind of early in the year, but Thunder Rosa's reign just did not go with people, despite her having some, good performances, and there was just a lot of stuff surrounding her that didn't draw people to her. Like it was, I was checking my phone like every like couple days. I would just see people just going in on Thunder Rosa. Like it was like it was a coordinated attack almost, but whatever. I still don't know that one. I voted her third.
It would not surprise me, given who she's, having beef with. That like there was some coordinated effort to knock her down. Maybe not saying that there's that on Brit orchestrated, but like there are people around Brit. That would not surprise me. Like if you out here with like the if you out here rocking your Ben Roethlisberger jersey and you out here doing and you out here like talking about Amber Heard, I have some questions about the doctor. I really do. Outside of cavities and feelings, I have some real. I don't know, man. I have some real questions about her outside of that.
It's weird, man.
It's like, very weird. It's very weird.
I wonder. I'll leave that for off the air. But Jamie Hayter wins. Shout out to Jamie Hayter. Up next, the Stardom Wrestler of the Year award, God. The B. Priestley Tribute Award. But let's get to it. Our nominees: Shuri, Saya Kamatani, Tam Nakano, Julia, Starlight Kid, Mayu Iwatani, the tag team FWC, which consists of Kaguma and Hazuki, and Natsupoi. So,
oh my God, this man hates Natsupoi so much. Is there a wrestler you hate more than her outside of like Bald and Wyatt? It's weird, man. Like,
I don't know.
This person isn't out here whining every day on Twitter. This person isn't like setting the genre back decades. Like this, the world you hold against this woman is amazing. It's all kayfabe.
I know. So in third place with 69 points, I think the Golden Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Golden Phoenix.
Saya Kamatani. Shouts out to Saya Kamatani for placing here, white belt champion all year.
I mean, up until the first 2/3 of the year, she had argument for first. She just kind of cooled off late.
In second,
and some of that wasn't even her doing.
In second place with 129 points, Julia. Yep. So in first place with 156 points, 132 with the first place variety, Shuri.
Yeah. I think she finished top 5 or no? She finished Flair Thez this year.
Yeah.
I forgot where she finished. Almost I was saying the wrong thing. So yeah, she finished 5th for Flair Thez this year. I think she finished 7th for most outstanding. Women's MVP, she finished 1st. PWI women's 150 finished 1st. Dominant year. One of the greatest years in recent memory by a woman.
Yeah. Everything extends to her promotion. Obviously, I think that's not even a question. So I'm gonna just get right to hating. So Natsboy had a whopping 11 points. So there was somebody that decided to give her a first place point. I don't know if they were trolling me specifically, but they did that. Julia came with 129 points. I think she had, for as much as she achieved at the end of the year, when you pull her entire year up, I think she might have been slightly underrated.
Think so.
Yeah, like her year is fucking phenomenal on paper.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's why she finished 2nd.
Yeah. It was just like this mountain of Shuri that you just can't just throw out the way.
It was just that Shuri was gonna get basically every 2 fucking weeks.
She was gonna get everything Utami got the previous year for having the red belt, essentially.
Yeah. It was they particularly loaded the block for that Julie was in for her to go out there and have an incredible Grand Prix run. And I think the top 5 or 6, average star rating, in that Grand Prix were all from the same block. She took advantage of that. She went out there with great wrestlers. And she had great matches, and she had the whole chase to the top with to the Grand Prix with Tam. You had the turn. You had the faction versus faction match. And the whole build, even some of the stuff in Stardom and Showcase, they let her go out there and have the hardcore matches with prominence and stuff. She did very good building up towards the title and being hidden in plain sight at times. Even at the beginning of the year when she was she went on that losing streak, or even Donald O'Mata went on a losing streak, and it was G1 season. I'm doing it back the other way. But now it's Grand Prix season, and she just flipped the switch. She was incredible in the last 4 months of the year. Incredible.
Yeah, man. So Saya Kamatani ended up finishing 3rd, as we mentioned. She had awesome year, kind of leading up to the end of the year. Her white belt reign was, I would say, pretty memorable. She's still got that thing. She's heading into a match with Hazuki. Very dangerous opponent for the reign, I'd say. And
the first person that actually you feel can beat her since before the Grand Prix.
Yeah, she she took a large kind of step forward as a wrestler, kind of cementing what could be her future, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Really love a lot of stuff that she gave us throughout the year, but
same. Love the Starlight Kid match. I think it's overrated, but loved it. And quite frankly, I liked their Grand Prix match more. The Mirai match was great. Loved that match. Love the second or her defense against Tam in March, where the Hurricane run off the top, off the fucking top rope to the floor. Yeah, she had bangers. Loved the Mina match until she kicked Mina's teeth out. Yeah, like she was tasked with a lot of things, and like I feel like that's that might be the best white belt run we ever had from a consistency basis. But like I feel like she's done more enough to earn the spot where like she comes off this belt, and then like we'll see in 2 or 3 years, but like she should be a Red Belt champion.
So up next, we got our Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin Feud of the Year award. So let's get to it. We have the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed, the Elite versus Death Triangle, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, Sheamus versus Gunther, MJF versus CM Punk, Cosmic Angels versus Donna Del Mondo, and Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito. So, coming in third place with 93 points, the Elite versus Death Triangle.
Makes sense.
Coming in second place, and they kind of speed ran that shit at the end of the year.
Yeah. Fresh in everyone's mind.
Right. Coming in second with 106 points, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed.
That's interesting.
And then, number one with 175 points, 135 points of the first place variety, MJF versus CM Punk.
Yeah.
I believe they won Feud of the Year in the Observer. No, they didn't. It was FTR.
They almost did.
Yeah.
They almost did.
Yeah, so we don't have Ring of Honor as a promotion that we covered. It was kind of a zombie promotion, so that's why FTR versus Briscoes was not nominated here. But MJF versus CM Punk, as far as the winner, kind of feels like an incomplete feud, but I think what they did give us was very worthy, especially week to week with the promos, and I don't think the match is achieved at the level that I am looking for, but I think a lot of people really like that dog collar match, even more than James and I did. And just like their promos, like were just so captivating, I'd say. Like people were like really into it.
Yeah, and a lot of the work was done for this in 2021 because it started in November, but it just kept going, and it was compelling television. And they had 2 matches, and I didn't love these matches, but so many people did. So I get it. Like. It wasn't necessarily what I was looking for in the ring, but as far as on the mic, it absolutely was. So yeah, I that's what I would have voted for Feud of the Year.
Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. They had 3 matches. Of course, they had a really hot match at AEW All Out, match of the year kind of candidate, I'd say, and the follow-ups at Arthur Ashe Stadium as well as AEW All Out. Just kind of a really kind of simple feud of kind of like a coming of age for the Acclaimed. Swerve in Our Glory kind of pulling them up to their level. They had an incredible match, that first match they did, and I think that was just it was a real moment for Swerve as a wrestler, like just being the MVP of that match, and the Acclaim just kind of really putting together all the work that had been put into them previously, and then like kind of proving it against Swerve in Our Glory with their help and going on. And I think this really like we're gonna see later in the awards, like this really like helped the Acclaim kind of legitimize themselves.
Yeah. I still feel maybe it's because of how long it's taken to get here with like the singles feud or whatever else, but like I feel like we were shortchanged on like a longer run from Swerve in Our Glory, but it is what it is. You got somebody as hot as the Acclaimed, then it doesn't matter. But that first match was shockingly good. Was shockingly great. Like I wasn't as high. I don't think it's a match contender thing, but like I think I gave it 4.5. But like I was shocked that they had a 4.5 star match. And look, how high in regard I have Swerve. How same for Keith Lee, and I thought that Bones is a really good wrestler. I just thought that like I wasn't expecting that. I just wasn't, and like it was great. And obviously the prior match or the following matches weren't to that level, but like that was like a moment in time type of thing. That first match,
yeah.
Like that's like one of those like all best of AEW type of matches as far as the crowd reaction to it and everything. Like it pressed all the buttons it was supposed to unlock that kind of reaction. So yeah, special match.
Death Triangle and the Elite, of course, they had like most of their best of 7 series kind of in the month of December, or between November and December. You'll never see anything like this, I think, again on American television. They had just incredible matches, from the pay-per-view to being in Chicago, the Falls Count Anywhere stuff, culminating with a ladder match kind of, following into 2023. But this, I've always said, like, Elite versus Death Triangle has kind of defined AEW for me in their various forms, and this was just like I don't know if they'll ever wrestle each other again, but like a special rivalry.
I think I gave 3 of the. Now, granted, I have not watched the seventh match, but I think I gave 3 of those 6 matches 4 and 3/4 at least, and I think I gave the first match 5 with a fuck finish at the end with the bell hammer. yeah, they're incredible, and obviously, it's 6 of the best wrestlers in the world, and they have the chemistry and the history, and they're able to tie these things and make them different too. It was a very challenging thing, and it was like fulfilling to see like the guys think all of this kind of stuff through those 6 matches that I was able to see. But I will get around to watching the 7th match. I will.
5 in 14 minutes. Up next, let's start having some fun here. Kind of, some signature awards, I'd say. The next 3, we're starting with the Savage Banks Best Dressed Ring Gear Award. So we've got a variety of people here. Some people what they're wearing in the ring, some people what they wear on the way to the ring. A lot of stuff. So we got the Young Bucks, we got Swerve Strickland, Ricky Starks, Satnam Singh, Jade Cargill, Tony Storm, Utami Hayashishita, and Julia. Now, when I was counting these votes, I was monitoring them, and it looked like it was headed one way for most of the voting, and then at the end, it swung to someone else. So let's get to the winners. So coming in third with 84 points, my homeboy, Swerve Strickland. So shouts out to Swerve. You bust out the Jeff Hamilton jackets, the various pay-per-view gear that we come up with, the New York Knicks stuff, colorway he did when they were in New York. There was a really cool thing he did at the end of the year. It was like gray and black. Second with 120 points, Julia. So, and then first place with 127 points, a 7-point victory with 75 first place points, Jade Cargill.
Interesting.
So, I mean, this was a Jade Cargill versus Julia battle to the wire, the end. In the past, I would have put someone like Britt Baker on this just because of the consistency of the shininess of the dope shit. And I think Britt had dope shit. I may have it
was a lot like the Cody stuff where it's more of the same template. It's just different colorways.
I may have made a mistake by not nominating her, but I think Jade kind of carried what she would have done. And Jade just between some of the cosplay stuff she did, her regular templates of gear was just untouchable as far as ring gear.
I think when you look at this year in particular in the nominees and who ended up all placing, a lot of them got their work done not just in the ring with ring gear. It's also going to press conferences. It's also the backstage interviews and all that kind of stuff. And Jay, Julia, and Swerve all had that kind of stuff on a high level for being super fashionable. So I probably would have thrown some love at Shuri. I think Shuri makes some interesting choices for that makes her stand out from just being a regular pro wrestling star. I think she actually could throw a hand in type of designing or whatever else. I think Julia is just a beautiful person that knows how to dress well. But But that's half the battle, right?
A lot of variety for her, I think. And I don't even know if it's necessarily her ring gear, but it's just like the risks that she would take. Too. Yeah, it's the gear and the risks that she takes. Like when she came out there with what's the girl's name? Tekla, and they had those hats on, and like they both had the white and then the black, and then it was just like it's just some of her, like, she has very memorable looks, I'd say.
There's definitely something to that, yeah.
But my man Satnam finished with 41 points. Tony Storm only 22 points. I thought Tony did an excellent job coming to AEW. Sometimes you see people change promotions and their gear like drops off for whatever reason. I don't feel like that was the case with her at all.
Yeah. I think that her stuff didn't drop off. I just think I liked her like 2018 stuff a little more. Mm-hmm. Or 17, 18 stuff a little more, but like it's still top quality. It's just I think that, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, like we mentioned, like I think a lot of people are getting their work done outside of just the gear, like actually like how they look like in front of camera backstage or whatever else. And I think that's kind of what separated the people that placed.
Utami just kind of ran back a lot of the stuff that she did. The Young Bucks finished fourth. They kind of did all their innovation, I'd say, the year before, but just kind of came out.
They're also hurt from not missing time.
Yeah. The stuff they did bust out though, I really liked, like that new like navy blue stuff that they came out with. It was like navy blue, white, and like a teal kind of color. Was super hard. I think if you want to know what I'm talking about, check out them versus FTR, which did happen on national television in April. You can check that gear out.
That was in March. That was in late March.
I believe that was April. It was around my birthday week, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. But yeah, shouts out to Jade Cargill, our winner. She just looks fucking amazing. Like, and then like, you know, she looks amazing. It's just like, you know, she kind of won out here. So up next, we got the Put 'em in a Coffin Award. So the Dan Coffin Award is the
Don't do that to Dan.
The wrestler that needs to start over or completely go away. Man, let's get.
Yeah, I wonder who's going to win this one.
Let's get to this trash.
Let's get to this trash.
We've got Dom Mysterio, Sammy Guevara, Ronda Rousey, Karrion Kross, Madison Rayne, Bray Wyatt, Carl Anderson, and Austin Theory. I did not want to put Sammy Guevara on this list, and I thank you guys for not voting him to place, because despite what everything else that may have gone on with him, this guy was fucking phenomenal in the ring, and shouts out to the One Nation Radio listeners for recognizing that.
Look, over the summer, that man had to out-wrestle them demons.
Yes.
He had to out-wrestle a lot of shields around him.
Had to beat a lot of charges.
He acquitted himself. And I'm happy for him. Like, I would kind of want to see this Guevara and Garcia tag team get off the ground, but, you know, there's still some time with that. But, yeah, he acquitted himself. Because, bro, if this particular voting had happened in, like, let's say April, March,
would have been bad.
Would have been bad. Real bad for him. It would have been real bad.
So, in third place, with 72 points, a man that only arrived in October, Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, man.
In second place with
at what point? Like, I don't know how many times he's won it, but he's placed like almost every year. Like, at what point do we consider like naming this thing after him? In the same way that like best technical wrestler should be like named like the Bryan Danielson / Daniel Bryan / Zack Sabre Jr. best technical wrestler. Like, at what point, you know, like, you know, the Bruiser Brody Memorial best brawler, which should also have Ishii's name attached to it. But at what point do we start saying, hey, man, this is the Bray Wyatt, put him in a coffin, who, you know, or sorry, he needs to change or whatever the hell we name this thing. Like, we might have to start considering this. If he does it, if he plays it again next year,
yeah, we might have to look at it. We might have to look at it, man.
Like, look, Baron Corbin ain't out here placing every single year.
Hey, this was normally a Corbin thing, and then Corbin just, you know, I don't know what happened, but
he fell down the card.
He fell out of the radar. It stopped mattering as much.
Right. Meanwhile, Bray Wyatt's about to wrestle Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar at fucking WrestleMania.
Woo! I'm telling you, that ain't a good look, because we'll remember what you did at WrestleMania all year.
Bro.
So,
I want you to think about this. Think of like the feuds that involve Bray Wyatt with black people. The only one I can think of is like New Day versus New Day, right? And that was horrible because it was a fake fucking Ultimate Deletion thing.
yes.
What do you think is going through that?
There's nothing good that can come.
Mind for what to do with Bobby Lashley,
bro. There's nothing good that can come from this. Like, Lashley ain't really necessarily giving you a lot to work with anyway. So
it's
like,
all up to Bray Wyatt.
So
that's what's scary about it.
It's like, where are they going to default and land on this one? So, second place, a fake gang member, a fake prisoner with 124 points, Dom Mysterio. Get him off my screen.
I'll say
Well, he's not on my screen anyway because I don't watch this shit, but
I'll say this. At the pay-per-view Elimination Chamber, he got tons of heat, and it actually helped his match. It helped the match that he was with that Rhea and Battle Red. I will say that. So, like, they have figured out a way to make it useful at least.
Jesus.
But, yeah.
Number one with 142 points, Ronda Rousey. Yeah. Bring your ass to the stage. Man, a woman that may have caused WWE, Sasha Banks, had a god-awful 2 title reigns, wrestling the likes of Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville, before getting cashed in on because, of course, we couldn't have her do a real job to anybody. Got cashed in by Charlotte. This was just somebody that was showing up, looked like she had a $sign drawn on her forehead, completing the contract, completing the dates, no type of passion for pro wrestling, no type of star presence left or aura or mainstream anything. This was just like just somebody taking up space.
An industry plant. She didn't make her name off of pro wrestling. Like, she made her name off of real fighting, and then she said, I want to do the fake stuff. And she got a spot. And her first run was successful. But then it came time for her second run, and nobody wanted to see that shit. And it ain't like she wanted, and quite frankly, it looked like she didn't even want to be there to do it. Is she broke? Did she need the money?
We should start asking these questions.
Because you hear about the WrestleMania rumor, like, her and Shayna are going to tag together. It was like, wait, she's coming back?
It's like, why are you still doing this? Someone
stole your world title, your women's world title.
You don't care.
You don't care. They hope she goes away, she comes back, and she's refreshed, and blah blah blah. That's all this is.
This is really bad.
I thought this was the promotion that does storytelling. There's no storytelling in. She was a champion of the world. Somebody, underhandedly took it off of her, and she doesn't want her belt back. That's not good storytelling.
She's such an avatar for, I think, how a lot of people look at WWE. The mainstream chasing, the no real return on the shit, the weak division that she kind of presided over, that SmackDown's women's division was worse than the Raw women's division.
Yeah, it was.
And that ain't nothing to write home about. Right.
Because that division also had Becky Lynch gone forever in that year.
So, yes, put her in the coffin. Yeah. A lot of us kind of seen the Ronda Rousey thing coming, and this started literally from the beginning of last year. She showed up in the Royal Rumble, won the Royal Rumble, stank out WrestleMania, stank out SummerSlam, stank out Survivor Series. So, she's stinking it out at all these fucking, literally, she did the sweep of the Big Four. How do you stink out the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam? I don't know if there's been anyone in history that has done this.
You got to look through some of them early '90s Hogan years.
Good God!
You have to go to that.
At least the crowd gave a fuck. Look, at least the crowd gave a fuck about them.
That's true.
She out here wrestling in silence.
Lazy. Hogan wasn't incredibly lazy, but he was like resting off of what he knew he'd get away with and get by with while still entertaining crowds. Ronda Rousey was not entertaining crowds while doing this.
Do you remember the Shotzi Blackheart match? Good God.
I have blotted out my memory.
The live matches, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
I totally forgot about that match. I might have to go back to watch it and be like, yo, can I rewatch how terrible this match was?
Oh my God. Yeah, so Bray Wyatt didn't place, but
good for him.
Actually, no, he plays third, sorry.
Okay. But he placed third, but he didn't come back until like October, Rich.
So that man is working with limited, that man's working with a per 36 minutes type of deal here.
Yes. Like the let's say like the PRs through the roof. Yeah. Or actually, through the basement.
Yes. Yeah, it's going the other way, down. And then there's Dom, who finished second. He was a babyface for much of this. He turned heel, and they squandered something with him, but I think he left quite an impression on the voters. Yeah.
And like, he's finna get a WrestleMania match with Rey Mysterio Jr. I don't give a damn if it's his daddy. He gets Dolph Ziggler didn't get a singles match until like recently at WrestleMania. This man gets a match with Rey Mysterio Jr.
Look at that.
These fucking nepotism babies, man. I'm telling you.
So up next, a signature award in the One Nation Radio Awards. Every year I look forward to this award and I just kind of laugh. But it is the Jeff Jarrett Finesser of the Year Award. This is an unprecedented year in the One Nation Radio Awards where we allowed Jeff Jarrett, that's right, JEFFJARRETT, to compete for his own award. And in that, he faced stiff competition. I have done several segments throughout the year documenting the race for this award because I felt like it would be so interesting. There was somebody else that was just putting the pressure on, and it was just this thing I wanted to follow because I was breaking the rules for putting Double J on. So I didn't expect that he would get a battle, kind of. And even then, I feel like Jeff won this pretty handily when I look at the voting. And yes, Jeff did win. So he did win his own award. I was considering adding a name to the award, but he didn't make it that far. So let's get to the voting. So our nominees, of course, were Jeff Jarrett, KG Muto, Carl Anderson, Bray Wyatt, Mandy Rose, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, and Rossi Ogawa.
Oh, man.
Finishing in third with 74 points. This is like the non-top two division. Carl Anderson. Carl Anderson found a way to win championships around the world, go back to WWE, continue making great friends, continue to not drop his title when people thought he would drop it, and get additional paydays out of New Japan, including a Wrestle Kingdom match. Incredible work by Carl Anderson. Incredible, terrible work.
I have the misfortune of saying that I saw Carl Anderson in person.
When?
At Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, I saw, earlier in the card, I saw FTR lose to Bishamon. Right, Bishamon. And that Tokyo Dome crowd clapped as FTR were going up into the dugout. In appreciation of, they recognize this is one of the best tag teams of worldwide, and he's had a great match with Bishamon. And then later in the show, you get Tama Tonga and Carl Anderson. Carl Anderson, a former finalist in the G1.
2012.
Right. Loses match, goes to the dugout, and nobody's saying it. Original Bullet Club member, right? Everyone knows his last match.
Founding father.
He walks to the dugout. Nobody's clapping at all. and at the last step before he goes down the steps in the dugout, he stuck a fist up like this is Swan song. Nobody clapped or cheered. It was like, bro, just get the fuck on. That lets you know the kind of finesse job this was. Look, I know that's Rocky's homeboy. Gotta be, otherwise, why is this even happening? But yeah, man, just a huge finesse job.
Well, it comes down to the battle.
So they got to the dome and was lazy. I'm saving for the big shows. I'm saving for the big shows. This ain't no big show, bitch.
This is not Paul White, no. So, this is the battle. It's Keiji Muto versus Jeff Jarrett. And man, I think before I announce the winner, we should applaud both these gentlemen for the amount of money they were able to facilitate from the wrestling business at their advanced ages, at the way they were able to get hired, remain relevant, book shows, work with various promotions. Because, bro, this was like
ridiculous.
This is a mirror year for both of these guys. Like,
yeah,
if there would have been a photo of them shaking hands or something, the world would have exploded. The past, and there is a photo of them that does exist.
I was saying, there's got to be something like
ago.
99 NWO or
long time ago.
WCW, some shit like that. It's gotta be
at some like WrestleCon event long time ago or something like. Okay. But Jeff Jarrett had not entered AEW when Keiji Muto appeared there. Like, they could not be in the same place at the same time. It just would not be right. So
too much negative energies in the building.
Oh man, the finessing, the swift business like moves. In second place with 81 points, Keiji Muto. Or excuse me, with 164 points, Keiji Muto, 81 first place points, but number one with 203 points, 132 first place points. The man defends his own award. It defends basically from getting Keiji Muto added to the award. Jeff Jarrett wins his own award in a landmark moment in One Nation Radio history.
The funniest part about this is like, Muto just had a dome show that had 30,000 people at it. 31,000 people at it for his fucking retirement. And he might not fucking retire.
He already had another match after his supposedly final match.
See? So he's gonna win. So he better win the next fucking year. But yeah, man, like, at least with Muto is like, he's a fucking draw. Do I need to get the Eddie Graham clip for y'all? Or not Eddie Graham, but Mike Graham clip for y'all? Never broke 1,000 guitars, never drew a fucking dime. This man keeps getting spots. This man was in Ric Flair's last match.
Yes. He was in Ric Flair's last match. He was in GCW. He was in WWE with an office job.
He was in GCW to do a job.
Yes. Beat him and left. Amazing. Yes. The WWE referee stuff at SummerSlam. The office job at WWE. The Ric Flair's last match, the getting hired to AEW,
convincing Tony Khan to put him on television every other week as a fucking wrestler still in 2022 into 23.
The office job in AEW that he has, that it's just amazing. He appeared in the NWA, I believe, as a referee. He basically he went to AAA earlier this year.
He had a bunch of racist shit. Yes,
like. This man I'm convinced that he heard he was on the ballot. He was defending his good name and decided, I'm just going to finesse at a level I ain't never done it before. Incredible for the history of the Jeff Jarrett Finesser of the Year. The first time we put him on the ballot, I broke the rules. We normally don't do this. And this man won his own award.
Yeah.
Incredible. Keiji Muto. When you talk about someone being out for themselves, someone just figuring it out from, maneuvering for wherever he can get it, this man was able to show up in AEW. This man was able to convince WWE to send him wrestlers. Yeah. AEW to send him wrestlers. to give up championships without being beat for them, to barely put Kaito Kiyomiya over and just like walk off on him with no type of cosign or anything.
Yeah.
Appeared on the historic crossover. Yes, Kaito Kiyomiya essentially has to play Muto. Essentially, everything that Hulk Hogan was in the 90s, this man was a pro wrestling Noah in this whole thing. And it was like even more successful because like Muto was actually his draw.
Yeah.
He just was not able to put enough together to knock off Double J here.
And obviously, it's how many people know about how much stuff that's going on with Muto compared to Jeff Jarrett.
He finished second, which is like, it says a lot.
That's an achievement in itself.
Yeah.
Right? It also has to do with us talking about Muto and Noah and the whole situation with New Japan as well over the last, let's say last year when we covered it. It's like, yo, this thing is amazing. And like, think about it. The only reason Muto was able to get on here because he fucking showed up at Grand Slam. That's the reason we were able to even put him on this thing, because he showed up in AEW for no fucking reason whatsoever.
Oh, it was a reason, all right.
Well, you know what I meant. But yeah, sure, there was a reason. So I do a favor for you. I need you to do a favor for me. I need you to bring Sting and the young boy over here.
Let's get it. You need to put a belt on him, and you need to send him to me. Incredible. I love this award. It's comedy every year.
Yes, it is.
Okay, up next, the Die Rocky Die Who Booked This Shit Failure of the Year Award. Man,
I can't wait for this next year.
Up next,
Sami Zayn gets beaten. That's definitely a fucking contender.
I'll write it in right now. Jesus Christ. Okay, Carl Anderson, never openweight champion. Ring of Honor on AEW. Austin Theory's Money in the Bank reign.
Ooh.
Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky's TNT Championship feud. Triple H's WWE rehires. Ronda Rousey's return. Saraya versus Britt Baker and Liv Morgan's SmackDown Championship reign.
Ooh.
Now, the top three there was a tie for the top two with the same amount of points, and we broke the tie by going to second place votes because they finished tied in first place votes. They were only 7 points over the third place person, which I guess I'll name here. 91 points in third place, Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky's TNT title feud, which just didn't work out for either of these guys.
Yeah.
You would think like they would be able to...
how injured is Sky? We haven't seen him since.
We haven't seen him since he dropped the belt to Wardlow. And I think it was a knee injury. I don't know if it was an ACL. I don't know, but he did. I know he had surgery and all that, but it's been a long time. He should be appearing, or ready to come back at some point. But let's...
You know what's funny? Because you just talked about someone that was missing. We were talking about someone that made me think of Santana. And I remember me and you were like, hey, man, like, Santana and Ortiz, yeah, they could be like AEW World Tag Champions, but like, like that's high, that's a high standard. And then the fucking
the Gun Brothers have changed this shit.
We were like, I don't know anyone ever thought about. I thought about this the other day, but like, I don't think anyone's thought about this. But like, you think of that conversation like last spring or summer, like especially when like the Kingston Jericho Santana Ortiz things was all going down, and there people were like, is Jericho actually holding them back? And now, and it's like, if people were still mad about
were they believing the storyline for real?
Right. But if people were still mad about that, like they were then, and this happened, oh my god.
Look, they might have had something. They might have had something, but
they definitely would have. Do you not see what this fucking team and this fucking team bring to the table?
Should they have had a famous daddy?
Fucking nepotism babies, man.
We'll never escape it.
Shit, Jared just won.
So, tied, both with 98 points, but the second place will be Carl Anderson, the never openweight champion. But first place, Triple H's WWE rehires. Man. James, we both saw the memes.
Yep.
We saw the Thanos with the fist, and then the other fist, and then we were waiting for the third fist to pop up behind the head, but no one ever quite made that one. I can't think of a soul that he rehired that has actually contributed to anything thus far.
Outside of some good matches here and there from like Gargano, you're right.
Like Johnny comes out to crickets.
Right. He has to do Doomsday Device, Poison Ranas, and Hurricanrana's at the top of the pod to get over.
Karrion Kross, we know he's stunk this thing out with McIntyre. Hit Row has not succeeded. Sarah Logan has not succeeded. Bronson Reed has not succeeded. Just tons of guys and people, just randos brought back. Emma was drug up from the depths of Impact Wrestling hell to show back up. There was just a lot of like misguided hires here, and it comes down to, for me, like, why do I think he rehired these people? Because they were probably like TV ready. There wasn't a lot of like reconditioning needed for these people, but
reconditioning.
When you
get back into the cult,
right? They could easily just assimilate, but it didn't quite work like for any of these people.
Right. Rich, just wanted to let you know that like Clippers versus Nuggets right now on ESPN. We're 5 minutes into the first quarter. The Nuggets are up 20-4
on the Clippers.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there was
20-6 now. 26 now.
There was a big comeback that happened earlier in the day, so that's just how niggas be scoring. So I don't know. Russ looked good, his last game. So
minus the 7 turnovers, but yeah.
Turn the ball over his way of life. Dame Lillard has 41 in the first half, Adam Urey says. NBA basketball on some silly, unwatchable shit now, Retrogram. 180 points per game.
Yeah, I didn't watch that game to see what the situation was, but I saw the lines. So I was like, oh, everybody's playing like three, playing one big and 4 guards or 4 wings or whatever else. And I was like, okay, there's a bunch of space on the floor. They made a bunch of threes. Actually, it was like the Clippers made like 26 threes, but lost because they gave 88 points in the paint. It's like, all right, man, whatever. Like, I get it. Like, the only way you can make the Westbrook thing work is if you put them around like 5 out or 4 guys that play outside. But like, if that's going to make you to where you get 88 points scored to you in the paint, then like Westbrook might just have to be a bench player. Just a thought, but they'll tinker around and figure it out because Ty Lue is a good coach. But whatever, they ain't winning shit.
But Triple H rehires. It kind of falls in line with everything else, like of him
it
not
didn't work
really
on NXT, so I was going to work on
like
the main roster.
The not being able to really get anything rolling outside the top, and that kind of just this is trickle down economics for these people.
Yeah, at least they got jobs, whatever. Like that's some good publicity for Triple H.
Yeah, a lot of these were kind of fan service moves, I'd say.
Yeah, for the NXT fans.
Look, the Bray Wyatt, he turned that to a complete zero after the initial interest that was going on.
Well, did he turn into a complete zero, or did Bray Wyatt turn into a complete zero? Because there's a lot of chicken or egg with that one. Because, it's Bray Wyatt.
Pick a side. Carl,
people don't for example, people should not give too much credit to Triple H because he inherited the bloodline stuff. The same way, I can't really I can fault him for hiring Bray Wyatt, but I can't fault him for saying hey, this shit is gets over to a certain graphic of people and he is over, but it does hurt the product to put out this kind of weird shit. like it's a weird thing. Like it's.
I saw a vignette from him today, and I was just like, I was
Can you
befuddled.
tell a secret, or can you keep a secret? Right?
Yeah, can you keep a secret? And I was just like befuddled. I was like,
right. You're like,
did
wow,
he sign a contract with a ski mask on?
And he's right back to doing like that thing where like he comes off like he's back in like the Playhouse things. It's like, oh, he's back to like kind of being like a creepy like pedophile type of thing. Yeah, it's no bueno, man. No bueno.
But tied with that first one, Carl Anderson's never opened championship reign. This was a bad look for New Japan. This was like WWE just big leaguing them. This was Carl Anderson. Like all this stuff that people were telling me was going to work out because it was going to be, he's getting heat by doing all this shit, led to these reactions that James described earlier in the show. I thought they had a solid enough match. Like I think they both worked hard. They tried hard. In the Dome, but it was just too little too late. I think people were largely checked out of the Carl Anderson thing. They just wanted the Never Openweight Championship back in New Japan, and it was just like, what did you gain out of Carl Anderson coming? It's like, New Japan, are you this much of marks for WWE?
I mean, I don't get it either. I just think that like
maybe there's some type of loyalty, like, oh, he worked here for all these years, he's treated us right, we treat him right, we want to keep a solid relationship, but it's like, fuck, as fans watching this shit, it was just like,
and also like it gave like WWE fans that don't really understand like what WWE does with like other promotions. Like it gave them this false illusion that they were going to get something cool, like something approaching like a Forbidden Door, or like they're going to send Okada over. And it's like, no, that's not happening. They don't even want that. They meaning like WWE's like management and brass wouldn't even want that. They wouldn't want to promote some other guy. They're all insular. Like they, so yeah, they're completely closed source. So yeah, just a bad look all around.
So, up next, we had our gimmick of the year, the best vehicle to get over. So, up next.
I feel like I know what won.
You might be surprised. Up first, we got Chris Jericho, sports entertainer. MJF, the disgruntled employee. Which, looking at the voting, I don't know if people liked how we termed that, but that's exactly what he was.
That's exactly what the fuck it is. He called his boss a fucking mark, and then they cut his mic off. Like, yeah, like it's a pipe bomb type of thing. Yes.
The Acclaim.
We could have called CM Punk pipe bomb him being a disgruntled employee too. We probably would have back then.
The Acclaim, scissoring. Unagi Sayaka, the Assessor. Sami Zayn, the Honorary Oos. Jake Hager likes his hat. Ren Narita, Katsuyori Shibata, another thing I think people were not pleased with. In Seth Rollins, bad suits, which people did not take to that one at all. Featured a whopping 2 third place points for a whopping 2 points in total. Y'all need to stop capping like them suits wasn't bad. Okay, so our third place.
Maybe it'll make him the head of Adidas.
Third place with 105 points, Sami Zayn, the Honorary Oos.
Makes sense. Oh, so something from the Bloodline placed.
Something from the Bloodline placed.
How about that?
So, second with 119 points, Chris Jericho, the sports entertainer.
Okay. And number one?
And number one with 230 points, a whopping 189 first place votes. James has it correct. The Acclaimed, scissoring. Scissor me, James.
Oh, hey, don't say that shit to me. Don't you ever say no shit like that to me ever again.
Push your tools out.
No. I will hang this bitch up. I will close my fucking laptop. You stop this shit right now. Oh my god.
It was so.
That's getting clipped. One of our friends gonna find that shit and clip that. That's definitely happening. Damn it.
These dudes stumbled upon this shit, and it was like, all right, they got the rap stuff, they got the look, It got the charisma, and this shit right here just took it over the top. Combined with the matches, scissoring was a phenomenon across the world of wrestling. Just, you know,
scissoring was a phenomenon.
Fucking goofy. It's fucking goofy. It's just amazing that this shit dominated this voting.
So stupid, so sophomoric. But yeah, it worked. And they got over. And like,
number one merch sellers.
Let's think about how stupid that fucking gimmick or the storyline was, where like Billy Gunn chooses his sons, and Bowen's like, but scissoring, and then he kicks him. And when people actually were like into it, I was like, I get it because I'm into it too, but that's absurd and stupid. Oh my god, man!
This shit was
like
great.
Pro wrestling, man. All pro wrestling is never get this. All of pro wrestling is stupid, but sometimes it's actually heartfelt and earned and good, while being stupid at the same time. You just gotta hope that like whatever stupid thing you're watching has some of that instead of just being stupid and only stupid.
Oh man, just look at all the shirts they sold. Look at the audiences. Look at the rap entrance. Like, yeah, this is
people bring signs to the shows. They bring
the thumb or the fingers with the scissors.
People make fucking scissor signs. People cut out scissors and hold up.
Yes.
This is so stupid.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely gimmick of the year. Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Hell, it might be the greatest gimmick in AEW history. It's either that or Cassidy.
There's an argument for it. Like, you hold this up. You ain't throwing the twos up. You know, everybody talking about we the ones. Nah, people throwing up the twos, bro, for the scissors.
Oh, my God.
You know. Second place, Chris Jericho, the sports entertainer. I think he played this probably as good as one could play it. All the verbiage, the different like spoofs that I saw just like bothered all the right people.
Yes,
which was amazing. And then like
people that are supposed to get it not getting it.
Yes. He was excellent. But Sami Zayn, 105 points, third place. The honorary Uso. We saw that, people were they were sewing stitches about him making Bloodline corpse and everything like that. That seemed to be like kind of the thing that kind of just propelled him. And, I didn't really understand it, but, whatever.
It's like, I'll explain it to you when we get off air. Like, he was very, very endearing. I'll leave it at that. Like his quirkiness being around, like basically like that group of cold-blooded killers, and ultimately like warming their heart, like that made people like him even more, right? Like if you're a person that just wants to like that actually is booing the heels, and you have this one guy that's actually like, wants to be one of the cool kids, hanging around like all these bad guys, and actually making like the bad guys like even like, seem to enjoy his company. Like that would make you be like, that is a good person. Like, I mean, that's a lot of the the show I keep raving about, The Last of Us. Like the main thing is like you're going on a journey across the country where like this guy, because of what happened in his past, has like done terrible things over the last 20 years to survive, and like he feels like there is like no path to redemption, or there's no point other than just surviving. Mm-hmm. And then like he meets this girl that's a part of the journey that like teaches and like shows him like how to like live again in a way. And like that is like, imagine like you're in that situation where like Roman is basically like emotionally like terrorizing you, and then like look how Jay is by the end of it. Like I get why like the honorary Uso thing was such a big deal for people that watch WWE. I do. And then they fucking finished. But this is 2023. We'll get to that in 2024.
So let's move forward. We got the WWE match of the year. 6 matches nominated. We have Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes at Hell in a Cell.
So hold on real quick, Rich.
Yeah.
So like they got out of the first rotation of starters when Westbrook was out, and now it's only 22-35. So I'll keep you
Okay.
on track with like the effectively like the Russell Westbrook plus minus in this game. Like right now, we're really in the fucking negative. We'll see how I get somebody in the game. Hopefully, he can get this shit to -5.
So we got our WWE match of the year. We got Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes at Hell in a Cell. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 38. Gunther versus Sheamus at Clash at the Castle. Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. Gunther versus Ricochet, SmackDown December match in the good old fashioned Donnybrook. So 3 Gunther matches on this thing. So let's get to it. Third place, Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, Hell in a Cell. I popped my titty match. Second place, Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 38, 105 points. But number 1, 210 points, 165. First place, Gunther versus Sheamus.
Yeah, that's appropriate. Those are the top 3 I would have voted, and I would have voted in that order. So yeah, even for a person that only watch pay-per-views, I was able to identify and pick out what the 3 best matches were.
Yeah, I voted for the good old fashioned Donnybrook second, and then I voted for Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes at Hell in a Cell. I give a glowing review to that match. I voted third, but that 6-man was incredible. I think people should.
That probably would have been 4th. Yeah, that was a fun ass match.
But Gunther and Sheamus number 1. I voted for that, my first one. Just the atmosphere is. That doesn't come along every day. I always thought these two they were better than I imagined them being with each other as far as this, big brolic brawling, like the real Triple B out here. But yeah, I was totally into that. And I think like if WWE was more like this, I don't think they would get as much resistance.
Right. So let's like zoom back like and look at the last few years. So I don't know where it finished in our awards in 2019, but Tyler Bate versus Walter had to have finished in the top 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, I can probably find it.
Like I would not be surprised if it won. 2020, the best match in WWE was Walter Dragunov 1.
Yep.
The best match in 2021 was obviously Walter and Dragunov 2.
Yeah.
And now we have this. He's on a streak of at least 3 years where he's had the best match in all of WWE. And it could be 4.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got the 2021 also.
I thought it said that. Yeah, 20,
like 20 and 21.
Yeah, 20. Yeah. Both years they got it. Yeah. Dragunov and Walter. Yeah.
So like, there is a big dog in WWE, and it is Gunther. So you find a way to he's at least once a year he gonna get something on the board essentially. Yeah. So
something that commands respect worldwide, not just something that's like, oh, that was cool, and then a month later you forget if you're watching everything around the world. Yeah, he's that level of talent.
Becky and Bianca at WrestleMania 38. I thought this was, I was looking. I wasn't sure what was going to happen at the time. I mean, I figured Bianca would win, but it was like this. Looking back at it, like it was just like a perfect finishing sequence, like peaked at just the right time. I think this is way better than their SummerSlam match, and it was just like, all right, great entrance for Bianca, and it was a big moment for a lot of people that were looking to see if Bianca would get legitimized. Even though she won the WrestleMania main event or one of them the year before.
Yeah. Great match. And I think that like going into the beginning of last year, this did a lot of goodwill for WWE as far as like, yay, they finally told a story and stuck through with it and let it play through and actually gave it the appropriate finish with that match. So yeah, for me, it definitely helped me like not want to let go of the rope of even watching WWE pay-per-views. So yeah, that definitely did for me. Like, bro, if Becky had beaten Bianca at WrestleMania, we're done covering WWE at all. We're just done.
Damn.
Like, I don't like WrestleMania. So what? I'll watch it. I ain't covering. I don't want to talk about it.
Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, Hell in a Cell. A very safe match. If you look at like the reality of the situation, it was a situation where Cody Rhodes could not hurt himself any further. I think they worked a lot smarter match than dangerous match. Just kind of like teetering on the edge of like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going to happen. Doing a great job playing with those expectations and managing those. I wish Seth Rollins didn't show up in the polka dots. I know people like were into that as far as Rollins like dressing like his opponents and stuff like that, but it was like I felt like he should have showed up kind of serious, but you know, Seth Rollins is a joke. I don't think that's a secret at this point, so it just kind of played into that perception. But I think Cody had the kind of like the match of a lifetime as far as in WWE, like solidifying himself as somebody that is long term that people were gonna like think about going with. It was his first like pay-per-view main event, and he was not going to miss that under any circumstances, and that probably led him to the WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, I mean that match did him a lot of goodwill, and people were saying that as far as like, could this be SummerSlam with him and Roman? You know, and they said, you know, they quote unquote lucked into having that as a plan B in case Dwayne didn't show up, and Dwayne did not show up. Can you imagine if they had ran that match SummerSlam and then Clash of the Castle beat Drew, and then like they get to all this far, and then like they're like, oh yeah, we ain't got nothing WrestleMania. What are we gonna do? We got to dust off one of them because it ain't gonna be Sammy. They weren't gonna do Sammy at WrestleMania. They absolutely weren't.
They just ran it back cold. They don't care.
It beat him again.
Yeah. Up next, we got the AEW match of the year. So a lot of great matches here. Some possible cannibalization going on. But we got Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy, FTR versus the Young Bucks, Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers, Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson 2, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed, the Elite versus United Empire, Death Triangle versus United Empire, and the Elite versus Death Triangle 1.
Like Will Ospreay only had like 4 or 5 matches promotion, and 3 of them were on here.
Yes. Like what?
That boy good.
What? And I think it's kind of reflecting Dave's awards too. There were so many great matches in AEW, and it was like, this is just what we picked. Like there were probably other matches that are probably just as good as this that just weren't reflected.
Yeah.
But let's get to the voting. Third place, 89 points. We got Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed, 1 at AEW All Out. Second place, we got Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy from Forbidden Door, which electric match. And number 1 with 196 points, 168 first place points, Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson, which came, I believe, January 5th of last year.
Yep. It was one of the same days as one of the Wrestle Kingdom shows. Yeah.
Just incredible match, incredible championship match on free television. Just one of the best matches to ever take place on AEW Dynamite, which says a lot. And this was just like very cathartic. I think they went about like just over 30 minutes, and it was just like we thought Heyman Page had the world kind of in front of him after this one, and you know, this is what I voted as my AEW match of the year. Second place, I went Elite, Death Triangle 1, and then Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy for me. But I think this was, you know, there were so many great AEW matches. Like I said, there could have been like other matches you substituted, but just for, you know, kind of our taste, I think this was the list we came up with.
Yeah, I would have went with Elite, Death Triangle Elite match 1, but you throw it in there and you know it's going to be cannibalized with the other 6 matches that come to mind with this. But as far as singles matches, I thought this was the best singles match in AEW this year. I will later talk about this being one of my 10 favorite matches of the year when we go through that, or of 2022 when we go through that later after these awards. Yeah, incredible match. lived up to the hype that was, made by the first match, and gave you the proper finish in like, can we get a third?
Oh, we did.
One of these days.
Like, I mean, they worked in September as well. That was like 4.5, but them back
blanking on that.
Yeah, them in that tournament. But
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Every time they've ever gotten in the ring has been awesome. So, second place we had Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy. This is the best match on the best show of last year. All these people coming together. We were wondering why Orange Cassidy was even in this match, and then he's continued to kind of, even in the fallout of this, just kind of prove his worth as a wrestler. Like, there are some people arguing that saying he could be a world champion. He's just like, he was one of the most consistent wrestlers I've ever seen. Kind of just this unassuming package. And Will Ospreay, we talked about the greatness of Will earlier in the show, and he rolled in fresh off that build and Forbidden Door, going through Dax, doing trios, tag matches, and then what he came in with United Empire. You see, he got 2 United Empire matches on this thing nominated.
Yep.
But what they did in Chicago was just like, man, I was like, we were watching the movie theater and just yelling and jumping out our seats, and it was just like the environment. This is like the peak of like the wrestling that I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, match was great. Yeah, like I'm judging against, but the problem with Will Ospreay is this year in particular, like you're judging against other stuff he's already done. So like, it get people threw 5 stars at this, and for me, I'm like, everybody has a different way they rate out of 5 or whatever else. But like, I'm like, I already gave a 5-star match to Will Ospreay. Like, this is great. This ain't exactly Okada and Ospreay in the Dome, but whatever. It's still an awesome match, and yeah, it was incredibly fun. And like, I forgot where it went in the car placement on Forbidden Door, but like, it felt like it was like how it was sequenced. Like, this was the perfect place to have put it at the time. I remember while watching the show, like, this isn't a main event marquee thing, but like, this is fun as hell, and like, you'll always remember it.
And then third, Swerve in Our Glory and the Acclaimed won. This was like a lightning in a bottle kind of situation. It was like it was like the scissoring stuff really getting hot, and then Swerve and Keith Lee like kind of set up the knee stuff earlier in the week, and then they came back to it and they cut it off from like being kind of like this meme chant match to like being just this deadly serious, razor sharp like match that they had. And it was like, I didn't necessarily see that coming, because like they were deep in the meme match, and then they snapped their fingers with like the knee attack, and everyone dropped out of that doing all the scissor stuff, and it was like they were on the edge of their seats, and it was like, this is perfect pro wrestling.
Yeah, lightning in a bottle, like you mentioned, and in much same way, like it reminds me of like the Orange Cassidy and Ospreay match. Is like, there's somebody that like you don't expect to go off like this, and then they go off, and now you just got to enjoy like the fact that your expectations were blown away, and it was super fun for a while it lasted.
This was like the best tag team match that did not involve the Young Bucks in the history of this promotion. Like, so, I think I'm willing to go on the record with that. So
2v2 tags, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So unless you want to talk about like Kenny and Heyman versus the Lucha Brothers, like this is.
Oh yeah, never mind. That clears that. I didn't. Yeah.
Like
that one clears it. But
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. Yeah, this was Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson. Like, excellent match. Like, great, like for the world championship. Like, this is how you want, the matches to feel for your world title. For me, I feel like this should have been a pay-per-view match, but it wasn't. So we had to settle for seeing it for absolutely free on Turner Network television. These are the things that happen on that show.
One of the greatest like TV matches ever.
Yep. Up next, Stardom Match of the Year. Now this, I kind of did something absolutely insane for this. I put a match on here. I saved a spot. I reserved it for a match that didn't happen at the time of the publishing of these awards. And I know that sounds insane, but
But then they actually had the best match in the promotion that year.
Maybe I was right. That's what I'm trying to say. So, our matches: Julia versus Mayu Iwatani, Starlight Kid versus Azumi, Tam Nakano versus Natsupoi. In the cage match, Tam Nakano versus Julia, the Grand Prix final. Shuri versus Utami, the red belt match in October. Mayu Iwatani versus Kairi, the IWGP Women's Title Finals. Saya Kabatani versus Tam Nakano, and Shuri versus Julia. So, in third with 71 points, Starlight Kid versus Azumi. In second with 75 points, Mayu Iwatani versus Kairi, the IWGP Women's Title Finals. And first place, the match that didn't even exist when this voting went out. They had to make a miracle comeback, and they ended up comfortably winning. Shuri versus Julia, the finals for the 5-star Grand Prix. At the Stardom Dream Queendom, not the 5-star Grand Prix. Shuri versus Julia, 94 points, 66 first place points, and shout out to them for winning.
Yeah. So 2 straight match of the year for Stardom from Shuri. I'm trying to think what was 2020. Takumi Mayu stuff.
Yeah.
Just incredible matches. Actually, no, I think that Mayu and Kagetsu match actually won 2020 because we post dated it because it didn't make the cut off. Yeah, like that's what would have happened to this match. We would have put it on the 2024 list or 2023 list. Like, nah, it's fine. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think I got it as my third favorite match of the year. Shuri versus Julia. Just incredible bits of storytelling. Like it's a love letter to like their relationship, a love letter to Julia's journey, a love letter to Shuri's title reign, and a love letter to like the faction they were in together. Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
This is a absolutely incredible match. You want to see people drop people on their shit, take wild risks, and like just fight to the death. Like this was it. Just a great world champion dropping the championship after a year, literally. It's like there are not many like matches that come along, and it's like, yo, I'm sad to see because like we knew going in that Shuri was handing this shit off, but it was like, yo, I'm sad to see it go, but this other person has earned every fucking piece of this, and it's like, how long are we going to continue to hold them back? Let's not do it. Let's not hold them back, and let's just let's see where it's at. And they left it all in the ring. So,
I was gonna save this for when we talked about it, but like there was a point, because I was a point like when I'm sitting in the stands, or not the stands, on the floor, or whatever, and like we get to 30-minute time limit for Stardom, and they announced that they're doing Yokohama Arena April 23rd, and I'm like, they gave out that card, and we saw that card, we're like, this is fishy. This does not look like this. They're trying to go out there and have their best match. Like they're waiting for another announcement for a bigger venue, and then we find out they're doing a 17,000 seater in late April. And I was thinking, like, once we got to like Shuri was on the ropes, it was like 27 minutes, something like that. And I was like, I honestly, like, in my mind, I was like, can Shuri just fucking hold on and then they get a rematch? I literally, in my mind, was like, I hope that she can squeak out of here with just a time limit draw, and then she can drop it or whatever else. Like, that's how I was invested in a time limit draw to do it again later at a bigger venue. That's how much I love this match.
Man, Stardom eyes. I mean, root for the draw.
I knew she was like it continued the story. You put Julia in the match in the biggest venue to win it, the crowning achievement. It breaks the curse. It breaks out the cycle of the red belt gets dropped off at the year-end climax / big show at the end of the year. Like I saw that as like a way to do all that. They're not doing that, but like that's how much I enjoyed the match. Like but then she breaks out another finisher. I was like, oh well, never mind. It's a perfect finish. This is a perfect finish. No need to save this. Like you go through all the moves in the match and everything, and it was like this is perfect. Like she kicked out of Julia's finisher, her super finisher. She kicks out of Micah and Emeka's finishers, and noting like the defenses that Shuri has had with Emeka and Micah earlier in the year, and then she puts her away with a new move and is fucking named after Shuri. In her particular shade of red, she always wore. Like that's fucking perfect. That is storytelling. Not yelling out, "We could have been a family." Get the fuck out my face.
So Mayu Iwatani and Kairi was second. This was the inaugural IWGP Women's Championship match. They got the main event at Historic X over, and they absolutely delivered. This was a very emotional match, very like hard hitting match, and it was just like people leaving it all in the ring, and long personal history with each other. It all just felt like a really like important time. Even though the belt wasn't necessarily like it wasn't established or anything, but it's like these two just did their thing.
Yeah. It's a match that like was very rewarding as a person that like never saw them all together in real time, but like saw them on replay in 2018 and seeing the things they were doing in this promotion, and them being trios champions, and after Io turned on Mayu, like it was Kairi that was in there consoling Mayu, and to see them had the chance to have that match in that particular stage, and that up to that point, the biggest match in Mayu's career as far as audience and eyes and pressure and that kind of thing, and the way they went out there and did it, it was very impressive and like is awesome. And while I will probably place this fourth, like they had the advantage of having the New Japan, exposure, and like so I get why I got the two, and like if Shuri and Julia go out there and do their thing, this could have easily have finished second or finished number one if not for them going out there and having a match of the year, a legitimate match of the year contender.
And then Azumi and Starlight Kid finished third with 71 points. This is a plug and play match for anyone that you just want to show what Starlight Kid and Azumi are capable of. It's the first time they ever got like some type of main event or like top billing type of match.
Yeah. First marquee match, yeah.
And it was like it was everything we wanted. This is in many ways like the race to the top between Starlight Kid and Azumi is a story that is bubbling on the in the background while the run of Shuri plays out, Julia and Tam plays out, Saya Kamatani plays out, Tam and Natsupoi plays out. All that stuff plays out. When all that's out the way, we're going to be left with Starlight Kid and Azumi laying the groundwork with matches like these. And then they're going to keep going forward. And by the time they're like 25 years old or something like that, we will reach where we're going with this thing. And this shit is like going to be one of the best things to follow in pro wrestling. Starlight Kid versus Azumi in the race to the top. Yeah.
So I personally think that the interesting thing between them, like when I also talked to Sam, Sir Sam, is like he gets the Julia thing. He didn't quite understand that like the Tam domestic thing, right? So that's going to and like the divide between domestic fans and Western fans, and like I see that already with Starlight Kid and Azumi, right? Like if you are watching Stardom on a consistent basis, you think that obviously Starlight Kid is the bigger star, better stage presence, charisma, blah 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 blah, storyline stuff, sure. But if I gotta pick one of them two to show up on AEW and get over in night one, it is Azumi. It ain't close. And like the way that you see the Western women like talk about Azumi, they feel like she is the one when it comes to having a match with. Like from when Tegan got released, She did her spoof of the Cody list. Azumi was on there, and then Mercedes clearly has handpicked Azumi, because if that was not her doing, she's not getting that match. There is something, I won't say a disconnect, that's not the appropriate word, but like it is from what you value. You get two different things out of them, and like the part where one of them is 20, the other one's about to turn 21 or just turned 21. Like that's something special to have, considering like the kind of depth they have. Where it's like, yeah, we got these. You see these like nuclear options we have. We just got them tucked away right here, and we'll have them. We'll get to them eventually. Like it's very impressive.
Yeah, and it's like with Starlight Kid and Azumi, as I mentioned, like there's all these stories that kind of got to play out before we get to the top level of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, just like thinking about future stories in pro wrestling that I want to see them kind of play out, like Starlight Kid and Azumi, like, and where that ends up, and we find out who's better and who's the one out of them two.
Yep,
that ranks really high. Like as far as like, just seeing the future of how this shit works out within 5 to 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, and it's gonna, regardless of whoever eventually wins, I kind of think it's already set in stone that like Starlight Kid is going to win this from a domestic standpoint, but that's her career rival. So like there's going to have to be a time where Azumi gets her time in this thing. Like this is going to be some like Okada and Yoshihashi type of thing. Never happening. So like it's going to be interesting to see how like they handle like their progression in their careers and where they end up, and as far as like reaching the top, because like think of how much enjoyment and fun has been like watching just like Tam and Julia get from chasing after the white belt, both of them, to getting the white belt, both of them, to chasing after the red belt, and that's a 28-year-old and a 28, 29-year-old and a 34-year-old. We have so much time for this. Like this is a generational thing. Like this is going to be so fun.
Like there were kids going at each other. Like
right.
Yeah. So
right.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. So I might clip that.
LeBron and Melo.
You stupid. You stupid. You stupid. You stupid. Up next, pay-per-view of the year. So we have AEW New Japan's Forbidden Door, WWE Clash at the Castle, AEW Revolution, AEW Full Gear, Stardom Grand Prix Final, WrestleMania 38 Day 1, and historic crossover. So, second and third only separated by 3 points. This is going to be AEW's time to shine here. 96 points, third place for AEW Full Gear. And then second place with 99 points, AEW Revolution, the show James and I attended. And then first place with 242 points, 216 first place points, a show that some say came together in like the final week or so. New Japan and AEW presents The Forbidden Door, one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time.
Yeah. I figured they go 1-2. I did not. They split sweeping. Wow. Yeah, but 1 and 2 are the appropriate answers. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd have considered voting for Clash at the Castle if it was like if they put more on it. But besides that, I went, it was chalk. I was Forbidden Door, Revolution, then Full Gear. Forbidden Door was, if you just remember the cursed build, everything just leading up to the show was such a disaster. And then on that night, it was like, oh, we got all the, almost like, like you got AEW firing all cylinders. You got New Japan having a chance to prove themselves in America on a huge stage. Like everyone came to ball, and it was like this message that was being sent from the pre-show all the way up that like, these people ain't gonna out wrestle me. Like this crowd's gonna know who the fuck is running this shit, and it just like all blended so well. And I can't wait for Forbidden Door 2.
Yeah. One of the greatest shows of all time.
The second place show, they were the two AW pay-per-views. It was Revolution and Full Gear. I got a live perspective for Revolution, and it was like from the pre-show up, it was a banner night for AEW. And it was like, I believe Swerve debuted that night. We had the Adams main event, the dog collar match, Moxley and Danielson, the crazy ladder match, the Sting going around the arena, 6-man match. There was just so much to enjoy on that show. Jericho and Kingston. It was just like, it was great. It felt like an all-time like AW crowd that night. It was just all up there. AW Full Gear at the end of the year, the return to the Elite, MJF's championship, crowning the just like great matches up and down the show. And it was like a real like kind of statement after, Double or Nothing and All Out, where it felt like these top heavy shows with just tons of matches on them, and then Full Gear righted the ship, I feel like.
Yeah. I would have voted the 5-star Grand Prix final at the 3 slot, but whatever. Like 1 and 2, Revolution and Forbidden Door. Like, to me, those were the 3 best shows I saw all year, and I feel like they were on a tier to themselves. But obviously, the exposure makes a difference.
Yep. Okay, so up next we got the moment of the year. So up next.
All right, Rich, hold on. So Lillard has 61 points, and there's 6 minutes left in the game.
Wow, is he going to try to just?
He might get 70 like Booker did a few years ago.
All these stats are interesting right now. He might well just let it off. Just try to shoot as many as he can.
I feel like if he has 61 through 44 minutes, I think he's already done that. Don't you think? Keep firing. Keep going. Keep going in.
So we got the moment of the year. We got Ricky Starks' promo on MJF. MJF's work shoot promo in LA. John Moxley squashes CM Punk for the AEW Championship. The Elite return at Full Gear. Stone Cold Steve Austin unretires on the fly in the main event of WrestleMania. The Tractor at SummerSlam. Cody shows his torn pectoral before Hell in a Cell. And Natsupoi joins Cosmic Angels. So, third place, MJF's work shoot promo in LA. So, from there, that had 84 points. In second place with 125 points, the Elite returned to AEW at Full Gear. And number 1 with 164 points, 117 first place points, an electric moment. John Moxley squashes CM Punk for the AEW Championship. You will never forget where you were when that shit happened.
All right, so I think the Cody thing is kind of getting short run on that, but like the part where like this, Punk gets squashed, goes number 1 is like, okay, all right, I see what's happening here. It's all good for the jokes, but like I think quite frankly, like the MJF thing could have won, but it ended up where it ended up. How do you vote for this?
Let's see. I voted for John Moxley squashes CM Punk for the AEW title. The Elite return at Full Gear, and then Cody shows the pec at Hell in a Cell.
Okay. I just, I'm thinking like I think of the year 5 years from now, like I'm not gonna remember John Moxley squashing CM Punk. I'm really not, but I will remember seeing MJF doing the squash thing.
You mean the promo?
Yeah, the promo is what I meant. Yeah, my bad. Like I absolutely will remember that. And like, if I cared about WWE a lot, like I would have remembered the pec thing. I'll probably still remember the pec thing because it was gross looking. It's nasty.
I'll tell you this: this was the first time they had like an undisputed championship versus undisputed. Like they were unifying championships. They were booking this match at a time where everyone was wondering what the fuck was going on. Why are they doing this match now? the shock nature of it, the catharticism of CM Punk getting put down in, I believe, Moxley's hometown. And then
it was definitely in Ohio.
Yeah, it was in Cleveland, I think. So he's a Cincinnati guy, but it was Cleveland. And then, just from the couple weeks of CM Punk coming back, it was just like, nah, man, fuck this dude. And then Moxley just squashed him in 3 minutes. It was like this unbelievable thing, and it popped a number. What's up?
Was it even 3 minutes?
I think it was 3 minutes.
Okay. It didn't even feel like it was that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was shocking in time. I mean, I'm just thinking of it for the fact of what will resonate years from now, and if Punk don't ever come back, and then you think of the part where he just wins it right back, it's like, but
that part does sink. That part does kind of stink.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that kind of hurts for me, looking back at it. But it definitely was shocking at the time, definitely. And he got a great T-shirt off of it too. A great T-shirt, with middle finger censored. This is Mox at the bottom. Yeah.
Second place was the Elite return to AEW at Full Gear. From the entrance to the first couple minutes of the match to the match itself, perfect night for the Elite.
Yeah, 4 minutes left, 64 points.
Jesus Christ. The fuck CM Punk chants, the debut of the music, and AEW feeling whole again almost with these guys. So in third, the work shoot in LA, this kind of grabbed the attention of the wrestling world everywhere. This was I think there were a lot of mixed feelings on this, from everyone up to Dave Meltzer back to One Nation Radio, where we were just like, why are you doing something like this, to where you kind of poison the well of the fans. It was a lot of dangerous stuff that was going on with this, I think.
Rich.
And it's never quite been the same.
Rich. He was in one of the better feuds of the year, where he ended up at the end getting squashed, and we don't even remember or talk about it anymore.
Right.
Because he did this.
Right.
It was a fake job.
Yep. Fake jobs. I think that is a concept we should explore more, because we had a conversation, we talked about fake jobs.
Billy Kidman and Hogan was a fake job,
and I know exactly what you meant. Fake jobs, it's amazing. CM Punk and Jon Moxley, fake job.
It's a fake job, yes. He knew he was getting the win back, so that's why he was okay with getting squashed.
So I promise you, one of these days we will get to more of the fake job thing. But
we'll go through a lot of Scott Hall and WCW. Yeah.
Jesus. But MJF, the work shoot promo, it was just amazing. The talking point that he became amongst AEW fans, amongst people who are not AEW fans, and just thinking he was gone and all this, and he sat out an entire summer to really sell it, which kind of showed his kind of commitment to this whole thing. Came back in phenomenal condition, and I don't know, man. It was I don't know what the legacy of this thing's gonna be, especially with his actual contract. However this thing plays out, I think he already re-signed personally. But let's say he didn't. By the end of the year, this could become really interesting in retrospect. But for me, it was just a can of worms that I don't think was necessarily beneficial for the promotion. But we're here now.
Well, I mean, yeah, think of the things he's had to say and do to get back to a heel reaction.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just getting cheered the whole time with it was just what are you doing? It was a lot of that. So, yeah, and I would say ever since, his results have been mixed. So
yeah, it's gonna take Eddie Kingston. It's gonna take Eddie Kingston to get him right. Because when he beats Eddie Kingston, there will be no more people cheering. They're gonna be furious.
So up next, we've got our creative success of the year. So There's 6 nominees. We got Jericho Appreciation Society versus Blackpool Combat Club, the Bloodline, the Acclaimed Tag Team Title Run, the Best of 7 Trios Feud, the Trios Title Tournament, and Gunther is the IC Champion. Looks like I actually might have flubbed something here on this thing. Okay, so I will correct it in real time. So, in third place with 72 points, the Bloodline. In second place with 92 points, the Best of 7 Trios Feud from Death Triangle and the Elite. And number 1 with 225 points, 186 first place points, the Acclaim's Tag Team Championship run. So this one, like, I don't know if it was kind of a spinoff from the scissoring and all that, but I don't know, man. People were really into this. Wasn't even particularly close, as you can see by the voting totals here. The Acclaim got over big, it looks like. So, like, I'm not even gonna. I think Jazz versus BCC should have got more respect here. If you just look at
people turn on it, like all of a sudden a certain number of the crowd eventually said, "We've had enough of these people, these groups of people fighting each other. We don't care if like these people haven't touched each other at all in the singles match all year. We don't want these factions feuding with each other anymore." And then we don't care if it's 4 1/4. We don't care, and that's basically what this looks at when you look at like our awards, and you also look at like the Observer Awards.
Yeah, just every possible combination I thought was excellent, whether it was a singles between Mox and Jericho, or the interplay with Danielson and Garcia, Sammy getting involved with the members up and down the thing, Castagnoli getting brought in, like the 2.0. Like it's just so much of the shit worked.
Anarchy in the arena, blood and guts. Yeah,
so much of the shit worked, and it was just like, nah, just fuck you. Like that's
it. Quite frankly, seems like once Jericho beat Kingston that last time, and then like Kingston's supposed to get his back by throwing him into the barbed wire. Like people were like, fuck everything Jericho's done.
Yo,
except for like, and then like he had the great match with Moxley. And then basically from there, people have like, that was great, but fuck him.
Look, and then he had the entire Always Championship reign where he was like pulling people like Bandito out of nowhere, and it was just never happened. Tomohiro Ishii, never happened.
We blazed the chest,
never happened. Castagnoli again, nope, didn't happen.
Great cast from the swing,
never happened. But the Bloodline finished, the Best of 7 Trios finished second. These guys just kind of speed ran this shit, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I loved pretty much how they set all this stuff up. There weren't a lot of promos needed. We already knew who was on each side of this, and it was like super match, another super match. Kind of set up for like the next match. Dame has 71.
Wow. Yeah, and also like should be mentioned, if I remember correctly, everybody took a pinfall. Everybody got a pin in the first 6 matches, and then they did a ladder match for the 7th.
Yep. Yeah. Like they booked this thing like immaculately. Like, so hopefully people remember it one day. But and then the third was the Bloodline. So if you were talking about hot storylines in WWE, stuff that's like they're really championing this thing as like the greatest storyline of all time. We've all seen that stuff. I don't think it's on that level personally, but the people have spoken. And
let's do this, right? The Bloodline stuff, from the way people talk about it, from reasonable minds, right? From reasonable minds. Maybe Kevin Owens and Jericho after the Festival of Friendship. That's the last thing I can think of that was like this kind of long form storytelling of relationships and a turn and a twist, and then ultimately you get to the match. Like I feel like that, and it's been years. Like that was 2016 through 17 with that. Like, yeah, I see why I made the list. I thought he was missing Jericho to the list, but yeah,
Yeah. But up next, we got our last award, the biggest internet controversy, the IWC award. There was really only one choice for this, so let's get into it. Vince McMahon resigns in disgrace. CM Punk versus the Elite. Cody leaves AEW. Sasha and Naomi walk out of WWE. FTR crying while holding 3 championships. MJF and everything that comes with it. Mandy Rose fired for Fansite. And William Regal's AEW departure. So, in third place, with 69 points, Sasha and Naomi walk out of WWE. In second place, with 166 points, CM Punk versus the Elite. But number one, with a bullet, a whopping 219 first place points for 237 overall points, Vince McMahon resigns in disgrace. Which sounds kind of wild because he's back now and emboldened more than ever, and women everywhere in the company are in danger. This guy just, through the Wall Street Journal, they kicked the door in on him. He milked TV ratings with this shit, appeared on television, and largely suffered no consequences from this. And this was just like, we thought Vince McMahon was gone, kind of. Like they can change up the. All right, you remember Casino where the nigga would change his job title and shit, be like, yeah, I'm working food and beverage this month. That's what Vince McMahon literally did with like a Fortune 500 company. This man decided to change to food and beverage clerk, essentially, while Stephanie McMahon, a woman who decided to quit and then was hastily brought back in as a CEO. Nick Khan is elevated to CEO. Triple H ended up getting the Booker job at some point, but deep in the shadows, Vince McMahon still controlled everything. And he did take, a lot, we packed him up real good on O&R. We did an emergency show, putting him in the grave. And the crazy thing is, like, there were people that didn't give a fuck that he did all this, that just saw fit to change nothing. And ironically, the company ended up feeling the same way in the long run.
Yeah. And like next year, we'll have to, on the IWC, or put up like him coming back, him forcing his way back. Like, what is it about him forcing issues that he wasn't given consent on? What is it about him doing this?
It's ironic.
Does he not have a sense of like self-awareness or irony?
He doesn't see how forcing himself in different areas can potentially be detrimental. This guy lives in his own world, and he set it up to be able to access power or exercise power in such a fashion.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. It's really, really weird. Really weird, really strange. I don't have anything else really to say. Like,
yeah. Number 2, CM Punk versus the Elite, something that's still going on to this day. Huge fight, and the stories that came out of this were just wild on many fronts. Everything that led up to this, everything that's in the fallout, we're probably even more interested than the actual tussle that went on.
yes,
But this could have long-lasting effects with who's with the promotion, who's not with the promotion. This kind of still remains to be seen on how it's all going to play out.
Yeah. Especially when whenever he gets that call Kenny Omega gets that call from Triple H, and it is worth noting that like when the Elite end up going with AEW, they did say like the people that finished, or the promotion that finished second, was WWE. It was not New Japan. It was not Ring of Honor. It was WWE. So you know, I don't know how much Kenny is motivated by money, but there will not be a lack of it offered in this particular next round of free agency.
Yep. So with CM Punk potentially like the injury stuff going like like probably clearing up soon. There are gonna be decisions to be made. So we said we will continue covering that story, but that is an evolving thing. So there's just tons of nastiness set to play out.
So Elite versus CM Punk and Ace Steel. How many first place votes did they get?
45 points.
Okay, so 45 points. So Sheamus Nova makes a great point. Dudes really voted for locker room tussle over sex crimes. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. I went Vince, the fight, and then Cody leaves AEW. But third place was Sasha and Naomi walking out of WWE. There was a Bailey interview, which was just fucking ridiculous, that came out with Era Hawani. We won't even get into
Today?
everything that happened. I think it did come out today, where she's saying Sasha Banks' home is WWE and all this stuff, and it was just like, oh, gotta miss me with that shit.
Well, she wants her to come back so she can be with her best friend. You know how that is, or one of her closest friends. You know how that all is.
All this home talk just seems like it drastically.
Well, she said home. She didn't say WWE. Home is next to Bailey. That's what she meant.
Yeah. I think it spits in the face of how she left the promotion, why she left the promotion, and the arrogance of the company line of WWE. Between how they treated them, how they were booked, how they were treated them, and then how they got buried by them on and off the air. All these things are to be noted.
Yep, definitely.
But yeah.
The way that the voters voted, that's how it went. 1, 2, 3.
So, that was the One Nation Radio Awards. James, overall thoughts on the awards?
As you mentioned, a lot of one-sided stuff. I feel like or top-heavy stuff as far as winners winning by huge, comfortable margins. I think that has a lot to do with a lot of the weirdness with AEW, with a lot of their biggest stars being in and out for injury or suspension or what have you, and like that hurting the ability to tell complete storylines that it able to finish off well. Also, some of that has to do with some of the decisions to how they decide to end some things that hurt them or prolong things. But yeah, I feel like the way that New Japan has came out the gate this year is so much stronger and so much more familiar with the New Japan that we've known in our experience with. And Storm's going to continue to be great, even though I'm not exactly in love with them deciding to throw out this triangle derby to start of the year. But it ends, and then they're going to build towards Yokohama Arena, and WWE seems to have like some fun matches on set for WrestleMania, and Cody's hot, Sami Zayn's hot, the Bloodline thing. Who knows what they can keep going with it, but like. It seems like they're in a pretty good spot compared to where they were on events all the time. So yeah, like I'm looking kind of positive at pro wrestling, and like I feel like this year was kind of weird because of the injuries with AEW stuff, but and also the Vince stuff. But yeah, I feel like we get this sale popped off to the Saudis, and we'll see where we go from there if and when it happens, because like that could also fuck up wrestling too. Like that's a sort of Damocles weighing over all of our heads too. Like if the number one promotion in the world gets sold off to the Saudis and then they fuck it up, like you mention this all the time. Like Tony Khan has saved professional wrestling in America, because if this shit gets sold to the Saudis, who knows what the hell happens to that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now.
Yeah, it's a lot. We should probably get to our top tens. We're running long as hell on this, so we can probably keep this kind of succinct as much as we can. So I'll begin. So number 10 for me, Hangman Page versus Konosuke Takeshita, AEW Dynamite. This just kind of got dropped out of nowhere. This was Konosuke Takeshita's real breakout moment, I'd say. Another stellar moment in Hangman Page's title reign that I really like. Realize the value of him as a champion, and just seeing these two guys that were, that are relatively young, just be at that top level. I think this match only went 12 minutes too. This was an incredible match, incredible hot crowd. I believe this was in Houston, Texas. Go out of your way to see this if you haven't seen it.
Number 10 for me, Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Go Shiozaki from Yokohama Budokan on 1-1. This was the first Noah show that I watched, as far as watching the entirety of it, and watching the semi-main event with Kaito Kiyomiya and Kino, and then seeing this, it was super impressive, and it's made me I decided to dip my toe into at least following Noah, even though that turned into a headache at times with all the nonsense with Kaz Fujita and the olds or whatever else, but like Hideki Suzuki or whatever else. But this match happened, and this match was just brutality and just the spirit of when Rich suggested I watch some of these Noah matches from Kensei Sasaki versus Kabashi, or some of the late Masawa stuff that I saw, and it very much fits in that spirit of it's a battle of wills and who's going to break, and if you break you lose, and just an incredible match, incredibly physical, violent match.
Number 9, Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed at AEW All Out. We talked about it earlier in the show, but this was a tale of two matches. This was the rise of scissoring and all the meme stuff that goes with it, and the having fun, and then a deadly serious, razor sharp, near fall heavy, psychological, flashy war that took place between Max Caster just lifting up Keith Lee and just showing his strength. A masterpiece by Swerve, who I maintain that is the MVP of this match. Anthony Bones' selling, which just sucked the entire crowd out of the meme chantery, and this was just this is a match that snuck up on people. They didn't know it would be this great, and they went out there and just just smoked it. And had the best match of the night that night.
Yeah. Death Triangle versus the Elite, match 1. From Full Gear?
Full Gear.
Incredible match. We've talked about it a lot in detail, their feud, but I thought this was, from what I've seen of the first 6, this was the best match of it. And, that crowd reaction to them being in Chicago and the way they worked it after that was just masterful. And you're not about to, all the talk of these guys don't know how to work.
Newark.
Oh, Newark. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Because the second match in Chicago. Right?
Yep.
But anyway, because I'm talking about the wrong match, but yeah, this match is incredible. All of them are incredible in any combination, and they just continued it. And I thought this was the best match of it. And just to see Kenny Omega back after so long, it was really cool. It was really cool. Because we got it for 19 days and it was gone again.
Man. James, if you were to guess how many singles matches from Kenny Omega have happened in AEW, what number would you say off the top of your head?
3 with Pac, 1 with Danielson, 2 with Hangman, 3 with Moxley, so somewhere around probably less than 20, definitely.
26.
Oh, 26. Okay. Yeah. And then obviously I'm forgetting stuff you wrestled Joey Janela and Russell Allen Angels twice. I'm forgetting stuff like that. He wrestled Trent once. Yeah, yeah.
We will keep an eye on this going forward. Number 8, FTR versus the Briscoes from Supercard of Honor. Their first match for me. I think this was their best match that they did. A lot of people like the dog collar stuff. I wasn't into the second match as much, but this one here, when you talk about physicality leaping through the screen and just chops and incredible tag team work, this was one to remember. And this like set the stage for everything that came after it.
Okay. Okay, so Will Ospreay versus Tetsuya Naito from the one of the semifinals of the I'm gonna say it, Grand Prix, the G1 this year. This is my favorite Naito match in years. I don't think he's tried this hard in a match in years. I don't think his matches have from a psychology standpoint worked out to this kind of storytelling perfection in years. This is a dude that targets the head and neck and puts you in that like leg neck crank thing, and like to do that on Ospreay after he went through the tournament with a bad neck, and then he had it worked over against I believe it was Juice earlier in the show, and or the day before, actually the day before, and they do that. It was incredible. And like, he's out there, looking spry. He's out here doing the top rope Rana and everything. And, obviously Ospreay is Ospreay, and they were incredible. And like, I remember by that point in time after that, he cuts that promo saying like, I'm going to beat this fucking guy Okada. Like, and like, I know I beat him one time, but like I had help, but I'm going to finally fucking do it. And he cut that great promo. Like, it just set me on the path of saying like, yo, this dude is setting himself up to be legendary over the next year and change. And like, we're already off to the races with the Wrestle Kingdom match, and like this is more of it that we're going to see from that point forward. Is almost like a mission statement to like what we get over the next year. Yeah, so I love the match.
Number 7, Shingo Takagi versus Will Ospreay from the G1. During the dog days of the G1, sometimes you're like, well, where is the motivation coming from to continue powering through? And in this year's G1, it took a long while for this to get going. Our buddy at Voice of Wrestling, Joe Lanza, does weekly or nightly reviews of the G1, and he has this kind of bit where he claps his hands and said, get into it. And it took a lot of days for that to happen with the G1 this year. But the match that caused that was Shingo Takagi and Will Ospreay. This is a 5-star match for me. This was just another in their chapter of great work against each other. So fast, incredible explosion, counters, reversals, finishing sequences, and it was like, yeah, I think Will got him here. And it's just like, and Shingo's just like kind of like, damn, like it just needs a little bit more to beat this guy. But he's younger, and he's just like, like this whole thing was just like a match that New Japan needed to really like shake the tree. Like, yo, this is the G1, and this was it.
Okay, so Ospreay and Ozzy Open versus Death Triangle. This is like the first match where you get the full on like experience of what Ospreay can do, like at the top of his game in AEW in front of an American audience, and like he's in there with Phoenix and Pac and Penta, and like it was incredible to see Phoenix and him together. It was just like, this is a dream match for me, and I'm seeing segments of it. And like I know he's wrestled, Pac a number of times, but like he's never done on the big stage, and I want that to happen so bad. And they while this all happening, like he's teased like going after Pac's All Atlantic title through Chris Charlton, and like I was just so into the match, and like the action and thing is unbelievable. And yeah, it was one of the rare moments like watching wrestling where like as you mentioned like to get into it, like I was fully into this and just like just losing it to everything they were doing in a way where it's like these I see these guys often like there's no real tricks they there's no real magic in the hat or sorry rabbit in the hat they're going to get me with these days. I watched all their I know most of the moves and it was still just mesmerizing watching it on the screen. Just incredible. And Aussie Open in like their future world tag champions in any promotion like they want to be in. You know, New Japan is going to happen. They show up in AEW, it's bound to happen. They go to WWE. I don't know, but like they're talented enough to make it happen. They're just great.
Number 6, Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros. Kind of like the Rampage June 3rd. Live Rampage in Ontario, California. So the Young Bucks backyard, 8 minutes from their house. And they just roll out of bed with the Lucha Brothers and it was like, yo, it's time for us to have a really fucking great match. And both of these teams did it. Another 5-star match here. And it was just like Friday night was much going on. And the crowd was fucking electric. Like you can just see waves of people in the audience just going insane for this. This was, you know, the prequel for like the best of 7 that would come later in the year. And it was just like anytime these teams hook it up, it's some of the best shit you'll ever see of all time. And this is right on the list of like the great matches they've had, whether it was the cage match, the ladder match, the Double or Nothing match, this match, the best of 7. Like just a incredible match.
Next match for me, Adam Page versus Brian Danielson. AEW World Heavyweight Title match. First Dynamite of the year. This match is like a perfect sequel. In that it reminds you so much of the first one why you loved it. And then it also, from a storytelling perspective, gives you a difference. And like it almost felt like a Rocky match where like, you know, the small little stories in between, right? Like Rocky is getting his nose broken in the first 2 fights. Well, like the first fight in this thing, like Hangman's just bleeding buckets. And then like in the second match, it's Danielson now bleeding buckets. And then he finally puts him away, and it was like at a time where like he needed a big win. Hangman really did. After like kind of being, I don't think on purpose, but like feeling like Danielson was wrestling at such a high level that like he could just walk into this company and be the champion in like, you know, less than 6 months in. And like he answered that one, and like then we get the rest of the run. And I was so impressed with Hangman. And you know, it got to the point where like we were like, look, man, he's a guaranteed great wrestler and he's gonna have great matches, but like can he get all the way over the top with someone that's not like in the elite? And like this one was like, yeah, like this is now like I've done it with Danielson and I'm going to do it again, and now I'm just going to run up the score worldwide. And like I wish he was able to spread his wings a little bit more over the summer, but he was great in this match and great in that particular program.
Number 5, Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Go Shiozaki, 1-1 Pro Wrestling Noah. In one of the last matches, I'd say, of the clap crowd era, that was like, you know, they're wrestling almost a pure silence as far as achieving on this level. These guys use their hands and their feet as the sound. Nakajima, just through the video packages, I didn't really know too much about him going into it, and I knew Go Shiozaki. I heard the name before, seen him in like some other stuff, and just like watching like how these guys wrestled each other, it made me an instant fan of the promotion. And I've watched historical stuff from Pro Wrestling Noah, but it was like the way they beat the fuck out of each other was something that anyone I think can enjoy and just watch, like as far as like just high level work from pro wrestlers. you don't come into this match and think they're doing necessarily like if you're somebody that thinks, oh, it's just a bunch of moves or it's a bunch of, I'm like, oh man, this is a bunch of fighting. Like this is a bunch of like kicking each other in the chest or chopping each other back, and then them just having ultimate crowd control and sense of the moment. I was really impressed by this, and this was another one that was like high on my list, as you can see.
Yeah. Number 5 for me, Tam Nakano versus Julia, Stardom, 5-star Grand Prix final. This was their 5th match, and like they've gotten to the point to where every match gets either progressively better or progressively more efficient and like more detailed in the story and like paying respect to the things they've already done with each other. Like it's very much like when you will watch like the Cesaro and Sami Zayn stuff from 2014 or the early mid 2010s. And it's just amazing where they have reached as wrestlers together against each other, and like while all this stuff is happening, they're still each other's best opponents. And to see them like have that match and like basically the groundwork for like what I think is what could very well be coming, which is like the person that takes the belts off her is going to be Tam. Like to see like that long entrance walk up the ramp with that second place trophy for Tam, and they stayed on her on purpose, and they showed her get this standing ovation. Like it's going to be interesting to see that how when we come back next year and see like how all that paid off and played out. And like Julia was just, that night was just special. Like to have that Suzuki match in the first half of that show, and then have this match an hour or two later. Like it's not necessarily the Shuri from 2021 type of impressive, but it's still damn impressive to see someone go out there and have 2 easily over 4-star matches in one night. When we talk about people doing double duty, sometimes we like, is it even possible for someone to have 2 wrestling matches? Is it too hard to ask? Somebody's making millions of dollars to go out there and have back-to-back matches on 2 nights that are the 2 biggest matches they could do for a card. Yeah, just really impressive, and love the match and love their rivalry. And like, I mean, I don't know where to rank it at the top of my head, but like it's way up there as far as like favorite rivalries ever in pro wrestling.
Number 4, Julia versus Shuri, Stardom Dream Queendom Red Belt Championship match. Talked about it a lot earlier in the show. It was Shuri's kind of dropping the championship off after a phenomenal year, and somebody that you couldn't hold back any further, but they wrestled like they were keenly aware of their roles in what was about to happen, referenced their history a lot, referenced Shuri's own history with the championship, and then like looking at Julia just kick out of everything and power through like a real warrior through finisher after finisher after finisher. And then it's like, no, like I done gone through too much hell. I done fought through too many people to come up short now. And we knew it was coming at some point, but this is, I said at the time, this is well earned. This was like Julia just like having a bunch of real man matches in a row with the ultimate real man match like at the end of this thing. And head drops, dangerous moves, and
the ramp spot is ridiculous. Like I was fucking shocked that I'm sitting like 5, 6, 7 feet from it as it's happening. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing?
Right. Power driver through the table, I think, or something else as well. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, go out of your way to see that if you haven't seen it. Phenomenal match.
Yeah. Number 4 for me, Starlight Kid versus Azumi for the ISP title back in February. And we talked about this match earlier. Just, it's a match that I thought they could always have, but they were never going to get the space in the room to do it, and then they have it, and it's better than even I imagined. And I still think there's more, and we'll see come next weekend. But eternal foes, like the perfect idea of what you want out of a generational rivalry. Two people that like have that kind of chemistry. Like for those that have not watched it, like I would liken it to like I would liken it quite frankly to like imagine like a woman's barely out of their teens version of like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Except like it's as good as it's about as good as any Eddie and Rey match they've ever had. Except for like the one freaking mask match. It's incredible, and like I adored the match.
Number 3, the Elite versus Death Triangle at Full Gear. You know, at the time, we were ready for the Elite to all come back. There was a lot of like reporting that say, hey, they're working backstage, they're doing all this stuff. Death Triangle had won the championships in their absence and against the Best Friends. I believe they may have defended it once. But once we kind of knew it was all coming together, we knew it was going to be great. Legendary entrance, legendary crowd reception, and it was like, well, now that all the pageantry is done, the showing the love and everything like that, let's get down to it. And what happened was exactly what these guys have built this promotion on. Just flashy, electric work, double team spots, triple team spots, high flying, near falls, incredible sequencing, and then at the end a shock finish that was just like, I can't believe they did this. I can't, like, this is great. This is like something is set to happen, and then we get word that it's the start of a best of 7, and it's like it couldn't have played this any further. They couldn't have done this any better. Like, this is perfection.
Yeah. Number 3 for me, Shuri versus Julia, Dream Queendom for the red belt. Quite frankly, whether it had been Tam or Julia, it's one of the biggest reasons why I got on the fucking plane and stayed my ass up and doing through all the stuff, like the kind of hell I went through to get to Japan. Like Christmas Day at 6, I think I told you this, Rich. I had my flight got canceled to get from Tampa to Atlanta, which was my connection flight, and I had to be on hold for 2 hours and 30 or 40 minutes so they could like reset my or get me the next flight, which was an hour earlier, to get to Atlanta so I can get to my flight to Tokyo. And then I get there and then I see that show and I see that main event, and it was worth all of it. It was worth being on the fucking phone for 2.5 hours and being and spending a whole entire day traveling on a plane and getting lost a couple times along the way in a foreign land on the other side of the fucking planet to see that. Like, we went over the match a bunch of times, but like that is how much I love that match, and it's one of my favorite matches of the decade. I know it's early decade, but like that's gonna be sticking there for a while. It might be my second favorite Stardom match ever, quite frankly.
Number 2, Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW Championship. I think this is the best singles match in AEW last year. This was a real certifying moment for Hangman Page and his championship reign. We already knew who Bryan Danielson was from the incredible run he started with in AEW. There were a lot of times where the last couple years in WWE, it was just like ultimately frustrating for me to watch him because it was like he was just never going to get his proper run. Never going to get like the type of appreciation I thought he deserved. And in this, it was like he was just like no longer presented as this underdog. And it was like he was telling Hangman Page to meet him at his level, and Hangman did. And it was like, yo, like he's coming in and he's doing business. Like he's heating himself up through all these matches to come in and actually like put somebody over. And it was like, wow. And we didn't know what we were seeing at the time. It was like somebody else was never going to fucking do that. And I thought it was awe-inspiring between the previous match and then this one. And it was like, I thought this was just like, this is what a world title match should be.
Yeah, yeah. Number 2 for me, Okada versus Ospreay in the main event of the 1-5 show in Tokyo Dome. This match is a match that I quite frankly think that if it had a live crowd with it, people would have higher regard for it. And then they basically took the lessons they learned from this match and put it to the G1, and they're like you didn't want to like make our match all time great because because there was no cheering. Fine, we'll go out there and do it. We'll do it without you anyway. This match was incredible. You get the sky twister off of the railing and everything. You get the segment of moves where he is basically hitting moves, or Ospreay is hitting moves basically on his last legs to avoid a final rainmaker that would put him away from the Styles Clash to the V trigger and everything else. It was just an amazing match, and I quite frankly think it's one of the more underrated great matches of the year, even though it finished whatever in match of the year. There are things that I just think like, I think it's the second best match I saw all year, and I think the Ospreay Okada stuff is like, as a singles match, like it's just a level above everything else I saw this year. And I just, to see Hangman and Danielson have to wrestle a match to quote unquote follow this, hours or 12 hours later, whatever it was like, they're gonna be great. I don't think they're gonna touch this match. And ultimately they had a great match, and they still like didn't really do that either. I was really impressed.
My number 1 match, Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada in the G1 finals. I never really saw Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada as rivals. I feel like they're from 2 different generations. I feel like they have rivalries with other people that are more defining and stuff like that. And I never really saw Ospreay on Okada's level. They've had matches at Wrestle Kingdom, including last year, where I just felt like Okada was still just on a presentation-wise, just like a level above him. At the G1 Finals was the first time I really felt like Will got to his level, and he was like looked at like as an equal, not a little brother, not a junior, and I don't mean a weight-wise thing to Okada. And it was just like, knowing what he was setting up in the outset, the Kenny stuff that kind of like silently ties these guys kind of together. And it was like, in the G1 finals, we all thought it was Ospreay's time. It was finally his time to beat Okada, and it just wasn't. It was like, I think, disheartening for a lot of us. It was like, well, what the fuck does he have to do at this point? And it was just like, it was a great match. It was, it was causing people to break the law, which you can never forget with the clap crowd environment. And I said Go Shiozaki and Katsuhiko Nakajima was one of the last matches, great matches in a clap crowd environment. This is like the one that sends that shit out of here for good. And it was just like, you felt like you were seeing somebody like not take a step to become a main eventer, but take a step to become an all-timer in this match, which that shit don't even happen every year. So,
right.
My number 1 match of the year, Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay in the G1 finals.
Well, number 1 match for me, Roman Reigns versus Logan. No, I'm not doing Logan.
Bitch, you playing.
It is the same match, Okada Ospreay, the G1 final. In similar fashion to the Wrestle Kingdom match, like, there's a point in this match, and it happens very rarely with me, where I'm watching a singles match and like the action is so incredible that I am like almost giggling with joy, and I'm catching myself giggling like a fucking schoolgirl. Like, I can't believe how incredible these two are together. And the first in both Ospreay Okada matches did that this year. This match was another level where Ospreay Ospreay has Okada down, and it's one of the best kickouts of the year where Okada kicks out, and then you get a chance where he kicks out a Rainmaker, and I'm just like, dude, I can't believe these guys. And I remember watching this match, and I don't know if I tell you my full opinions on it outside of like what it set up, but as far as calling match, I remember you saying you pull up the cage match score, and you're like, bro, that score cannot be one of the greatest matches of all time without a clap crowd. Get the fuck out of here. And then you watched and you were like, never mind then. And I was like, yeah, bro, this match is out of this world. And yeah, it's it's an all-timer match. And it just adds to the legacy of both of them. Like when people talk about like who's the best of this era, like you cannot fucking like if you do not say Will Ospreay and Okada in the mention of them as like the best wrestlers of like the last decade or so, whatever else, like I don't know what you watching. You ain't watching enough. You're just not. And this is a clear example of it. Like I just think that these are two of the three best guys we have, in the last 5 years, and they keep proving it. They keep proving it, especially with each other. And next year when we do this, and what will likely be what is the number one, I'll probably say the same thing. It's like I'll be saying Ospreay and Omega are two of the three best wrestlers of the last 5 years. And if you disagree, then I just guess you ain't watched enough or whatever is going on with you. But like they're just incredible. And like those three are somebody from the Nuggets slipped on a dunk and like separated his shoulder, looks like. But anyway,
hope it ain't Jokic.
It wasn't Jokic. It was. I can't see who it is, but yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, it's I fucked up the clip, but whatever. There's an incredible special, and like I'm just happy I get to see him. Oh, it's Thomas Bryant.
Ooh,
yeah.
But yeah, those were the Rich and James's 10 favorite matches of 2022. We want to know what your matches were of 2022. If you're seeing this on YouTube, put them in the comment section. Let us know what you think of our stuff.
We got some time. Find our Twitter. Me and Rich, throw us in there. Tag Motion Radio, and give us your list.
Yep.
Like most years we end up having our guests do it, but slipped our minds on asking them to send us stuff. But I hope they do, like they listen to this. Like I hope they do, like eventually send us their top 10 lists. We see a lot of us watch a lot of wrestling. Some things slip through the cracks.
Yep.
Try to be open-minded to the things that people that you with opinions you respect, give out and give it a try. Honestly, like one of my favorite things I got out of wrestling this year was like Sam like actually watched some of the stuff that I highly recommended on Stardom, and he was like, holy shit, yeah, you're right, James. Like everything, like you're not overhyping this shit. This is incredible. So yeah,
yeah, but another year of
enjoy more wrestling.
Another year of One Nation Radio. I kind of bookend the years at the award show and stuff like that. So appreciate all the listeners who've helped us kind of explode more. Definitely seeing more activity on Twitter and like people bringing us up and all your different discords that you frequent, and I try to like run down stuff like people on Reddit just recognizing us, and which is really cool because I don't really frequent Reddit too much, but yeah, man, just appreciate you guys listening to the show.
Yeah, definitely.
So besides that, man, we could wrap this up. Another year in the books, James.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what this top 10 list is gonna look like next year. It's gonna be fun.
Number 1, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. What do you know now?
Look, unless they top it at Forbidden Door,
which will still be Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega.
This is wild, man. But yeah, as far as plugs and all that kind of stuff, in the show notes in show description, you will see links to Rich's news music video, Dream Machine. You also see a link to his pay hip for donating to listen and purchase his album. And
Pick it
aside
up.
from that, you'll have the usual stuff. Sorry.
I said pick it up.
And aside from that, you get the usual stuff. If you're listening, if you're watching from the stream, you can hit the Cash App, hit the PayPal, and also in the show notes and descriptions of the podcast is our Red Circle link to donate there. And listen to other shows on the network. Besides Militia Radio, you have Keeping It Strong Style, the Ricky and Clyde Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, and Meet the Press Slam. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Yo, check me out on All Elite Keeks show tomorrow night. It's gonna be at 9 p.m. Be live on YouTube, so I'll be sending the link out and shit on Twitter. So check it out.
Yep. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Yep. Peace.